Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Gift. So this is my like shroom mates, you know, our connection through psychedelics.
That's beautiful.
And I added this one, train all day. I've been cruising Austin. All right, where do I begin with this? Let me do a call out to the Asians really quick. Asians, if you're listening, to all my gooks, all my jungle Asians, I've been here for 24 hours in Texas. Oh my God, went through like Westlake. I rode all over town. Like, it was the best. Like, I had Explosions in the Sky playing. I watched Friday Night Lights when I got back to my room. It's like, this place is, I saw like maybe 2 homeless people. I rode around the lake. Barbecue's great. Like, that was my concern, right? I think the last time I did your show, it was the week you were about to leave. I talked to Jamie. He was like...
Been here almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years. What it'll be 3 years, Jamie? In May, it'll be 3 years that I looked. Yeah. And then August when I moved here.
Yeah, so look, when people tell me how awesome Austin is, I don't know the rest of Texas, but like Austin is like the vibe yesterday. It was like the weather, like everyone was out, like having picnics.
How many days are you in town for?
I leave tomorrow if you want to, like.
I want to show you the club.
Oh, I definitely want to check out the club, but like I was like checking out real estate on my bike just to be like, I was just
I got a lady.
looking like this.
Yeah.
Looking like this. And I got to tell you, man, like I kind of like come in hard like this because I want people to be like, and Austin's already weird, right? Like, yeah. And no one gives a fuck.
No one gives a fuck.
Waiting an hour in line at Terry Black's like this, no one gives a fuck. Like, it's just like, it's like, there's not a ton of Asians. Not like
There's Asian communities.
There is. But I'm saying to the Asians listening, it's a good place.
It's a open-minded,
I see
cool
very
place.
quickly why you didn't go back after. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to go back.
I'm not going back.
I don't want to go back.
There's no traffic here. The people are so friendly. They're so nice.
Yeah.
It's like everything about it I love. There's so many artists here. There's so many musicians here. There's so many comedians here now. It's fucking thick with comedians.
Yeah, and like, you think I like dressing like this? It's like, it's because I'm born and raised in LA. Like, I'd rather raise kids here and like have them not look like this. Like, sorry, mom. Like, fuck you. That's your fucking fault. Like, so yeah,
it's a great place to raise kids.
Feels very artsy.
Yeah,
like tons of art everywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
and the deeper you get, like the more you're here, the more you'll see that. The more you'll see that, more you experience that.
What is your threshold for compliments this morning?
Oh, generally not that good at them.
All right. Well, I just have to tell you because once again, like, we don't talk very often, but when we do, and then like your voice is just on all the time because I got you playing. You're a great audio portrait artist. Like, the interviews you've done using, like, you've captured the essence, like the way a painter captures, and it's like the best of that person, right? Like, of that celebrity or that scientist or whoever. So you're a great audio portrait artist.
Thank you.
Just that move to like be like, LA sucks, and then lead the charge. And like, look, my driver, like, I saw on the map that I was like a mile away, and I told him to like drop me off because I just wanted to walk a little bit like this. And he's like, what do you mean? It's like, how are you gonna get there? I'm like, I'm walk. Like you're gonna walk to the studio? I'm like, yeah, like walk the earth, motherfucker, you know? And walking, you know, going down South Congress, and like your presence is felt. Like you've like kind of changed, like the comedy club thing. Oh my God, like that's amazing to like try to get into a comedy club. Like it's gone full circle. Like you've gone like from trying to get the spot at the comedy club to now owning one, and you're like, I'm gonna do it my way, and like all the things I didn't like. So that courage to like just cut your own path gives me courage, and I just want to say you're lovable.
Oh, you're lovable too.
You're loving, and you're love.
Thank you.
You are love. So I just wanted to.
I appreciate you, brother.
I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I just I just follow my instincts, and my instincts were, first of all, to get the fuck out of L.A. I felt like it was just going to get worse.
Yeah.
I felt like the way the government is run there, they're just drinking the same poison that got them sick, and they're not going to change. And after all that defund the police shit and the chaos of shutting all the restaurants and bars and everything down from COVID for like a fucking year and a half, I was like, you people are incompetent and you're not going to ruin my life. I'm going to go someplace where you're more free.
Yeah.
And this was the first place that we went in May of 2020.
Right.
And my kids loved it and my wife loved it. I was like, let's go. Let's fucking move. So a couple months later, I was here.
And you don't seem to come back that often, Taylor.
I don't like it. I don't like going back.
It feels shitty when I'm landing.
It's too many people, man. I think when you get too many people in an area, you devalue people. You don't appreciate them as much. They become
absolutely.
a hindrance.
I live in a pretty nice neighborhood in LA. I have a baseball bat. I'm not an athletic person. I have a baseball bat in my house that's never hit a baseball. It's only hit human flesh. Like it's like insane. If I like forget to close my garage one night, there's junkies in there, and I'm just like, maybe Austin is a nice starter place, but I'm trying to like get out. Like I'm looking in South America, I'm looking in Asia, I'm looking in New Zealand, I'm looking in Africa.
Jesus.
Yeah, like so. I mean,
Costa Rica
for sure. Like, yeah, because you're right. That whole thing about things being too populated. Oh, and I have to, like, before we like get into it, like I have to, like, you came on my podcast like 15 years, something like,
something crazy,
something like way in the early pod days, and it was like. So, and I've done your podcast a few times now, so it's like, I remember when it was live, and I would leave your studio, and as soon as I left, people would be like, yo, that was great. I was like, oh, shit, dude. So I always knew you had impact, but to come on your show the last time I came on, like 3 years ago, it's like standing on a soapbox with a microphone in front of the whole world. Like, in 3 years, like, not a day has gone by where someone doesn't say something nice or say, hey, man, like, I was going to kill myself and I heard that episode and it's like, you changed my life. And I'm like, okay, thank. It feels weird, right?
It's weird.
But in the way, I mean, Jamie, you could talk about it with, like, you do the show and then you chop it up into, like, clips, right? There's people out there that chop it into, like, TikToks and Reels. And there's one where I talk about the Hadza tribe, the hunter-gatherer tribe, that has 30 million views. And I don't know what that monetizes into for like YouTube or whatever, but I think it's like 50, 60 grand. So it's like the words are like, you can like just, this is it. Like someone could get rich just like talking and doing this shit. And so after doing that show, and I'm just telling like my journey to Africa and how I felt being with this hunter-gatherer tribe, it like literally saved their lives. Like the money that came in, the amount of people that donated to the Hadza, the Maleka Foundation, the foundation people are calling me saying, what's happening right now? There's and like, this is like clean water for them. This is like, education, clothes, like all these things. And I'm like, wow, you talk about something on Joe Rogan, and it could like save a culture, And there was so much, like the influencers that went out there, the guy with the red headband that eats all the crazy shit went out there, the Liver King went out there, Logan Paul, I've never met the guy, calls me like, bro, take me to Tanzania. Like, so there's like insane, like, and if you guys are doing that, like, please, however much money you're making from getting those views, like all those views have like, all those videos have like millions of views, please donate back to the Hadza because like they need it. But yeah, I mean, the Rasuli, Shawnee, the guys that I know out there are like, the tourism is great. So it's like a thriving thing just because I talked about it. And like going off what you said, like I helped make a film. I was the cameraman on this film called We Are Hadza. If anyone out there wants, I just helped make it. It's just like the best documentary. It's like the first beginning to end baboon hunt and then skinning it, eating it. Like you feel like you're living that lifestyle. So I'm not trying to be like Harrison Ford in like a Mosquito Coast, but like I think Austin is a good buffer for the family. And then eventually I do want to fully go to kind of like, who am I kidding? Like not fully hunter-gatherer, but like fully like a culture where it's like not that many people, I know who all my neighbors are. I'm living like half like city life and half like there. So things are starting to steer towards going back to Africa for me. I mean, I'm not even close yet. I'm just saying like, I remember.
What was it about that spoke to you so much that you want to be there more often?
Well, like art, I'm an artist, right? And art is about expression and creating. But if you're saying I'm a professional artist, at some point there has to be a conversation about business, monetization, making money. And, you know, we could get into all the AI shit, which is crazy. But, you know, I go to Africa with the ego of like, I'm an important artist, you know, like, and I'm going to like, so my backpack is mostly art supplies, right? And I get there and there's a cave that we're living in for like a few weeks. And like, you know, if the weather's nice, we sleep on top of the cave. And if it's, you know, really raining or something, we sleep under the cave. And in the daytime when like the real men are like hunting, I'm like, I'll give art lessons to the kids, you know? And because the kids have no art training, they're just raw, you know? They're just, and it's just what here's a bow and arrow and they're just drawing like, and the drawings are like amazing. And I'm drawing them. And in my mind, I'm like, these are going to be like museum pieces or like I'm going to archive them when I get home and put out a book and like donate all the money back to them. And so we spend the whole day drawing and I'm like, these are like some of the best pieces of art I've ever, because it was fun. It was like in nature. It's with these guys that are not trained, you know, and I'm looking at it and I'm like holding it like this, not to like, you know, smudge it or anything. And they're like, yeah. And then the tribe comes back. They're covered in blood. They, you know, they got an animal. And I'm like, look at this art we made. And they're like, oh, that's cool. And we're on top of the cave. And they're like, cool. And they throw it off the cave. I go, wait. And I'm like, wait, what are you doing with that? I could have. And I go, oh, yeah, Hunter. Like, they don't have anything.
Yeah.
They don't. Like, what do they have? A flat file out there? Like, and I was like, like, it just hit me so hard in that moment. They're so present. It's not about like, oh, I'm living in the moment and then I gotta like go home and edit it and like, you know, do. It's just like we did it, we love it, and bye bye. It's a piece of paper in the wind now. And I was like, you know, and there was one that I drew like, you know, and I had it sketched and I was like spending a lot of time. I was like, I'm gonna try it too. And I threw it off the cliff and I was like, more of this, like more of this. Like I want this thing where you just live and it is what it is and less like anxiety, stress, how am I going to make money off this? And it's just, they're so happy. And look, I spent a lot of time with them and I go back as much as I can. So yeah, to see them like, you know, all the YouTubers that went out there and I'm like, oh, there's Shawnee and Nona and Gonkida. And I'm like, fuck, they're like mini celebrities now. I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like every time I go back to Africa, whether it's like Congo or Tanzania, which are like two completely different, you know, I remember when I went to the Congo the first time I was 19, 18, in 1995.
That was when you filmed that thing for Vice where you're looking for dinosaurs?
No, the first time I went is when I went to look for the dinosaur by myself. And then Vice saw that I wrote an article about that, and they sent me back like 10 years later when I was 25 or something.
Really?
But I remember finding a missionary deep in the jungle. And he's like, bro, you think you're the first one? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you think you're the first like lost soul that's come here looking for dinosaurs? And I'm like, I'm not. And he's like, I've been here for 20 years, like living with these people. Like every 5 years, a weirdo like you comes through. And do you think you're really looking for the dinosaur? And I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for a dinosaur. He's like, no, you're looking for something else. You're either running from something else or you're looking for some kind of meaning in your life that you can't find. So you've pushed yourself to this, you know? And I'm like, fuck, dude, you trying to get deep with me, bro? So yeah, I mean, I go back to Africa and like, it's hard for me to talk about this stuff without like sounding cringe or people, I don't know. It's like, let's look at life as a video game, right? Like, as someone who's like heavily addicted to video games and like born into a super Christian kind of background, right? Like, or if you are in any kind of like strict organized religion growing up, Jewish, Catholic, Muslim, whatever, it's kind of like being born into a video game, because it's like it's very binary, right? There's heaven and hell, especially if it's Christian, and so you have to live a certain way. You got to get a certain amount of points to have everlasting love, peace, joy, and then if you don't, like you're fucked, and you're okay for how long? How much before forever. I can like forever? And you're like, wait, that's a long time, And I'm like, fuck, man. And so I don't subscribe to any organized religion. I consider myself a spiritual person, but like without making light or trying to be disrespectful, like if the things that I tried to figure out like a game, like a video game, was sex, money, power, right? Like as an artist, I had subscribed to the starving artist like type, right? It was like top ramen, holes in your clothes, like homeless. Like I was like, that is what a real artist is, until I met a successful artist, until I was like, oh shit, like you can have a manager and an agent and an office, and like you can like not starve. And I remember at that point, I was in my early 20s. I was like, man, people sure like talk about money a lot, right? Like it seems to be like this thing that causes a lot of problems in marriages and business. And I go, it doesn't seem that hard to me and I'm saying this as a guy in my 20s that's poor. I'm like, what if I just like try to be as rich as possible for the next 10 years or 5 years? Like, what if that's my singular focus? And so I did it, and it was a lot of work, but like the video game of money is over for me now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like at every industry, gambling, the stock market, like even like people go, oh, that's like this Korean Forrest Gump, and he was like this homeless guy that like got lucky with Facebook. I'm like, that was like a lot of work to make that happen, and I was already kind of wealthy when I made that deal, but people like to tell that story. So I made millions of dollars gambling. I made millions of dollars with my art. I made millions of dollars with Facebook, and it was a lot of hard work. But I'm like, it's kind of, if I wanted to, you tell me how cringe I sound, and I'll just stop. But I'm like, it's not going to be that hard for me to become a billionaire at a certain level, right? Like I've amassed hundreds of millions. I'm like, if that's my goal now, if that's my video game, and then I know billionaires. I mean, Sean Parker and Mark being the most, but I know tons of like secret billionaires, right? And I go, I don't want any of their lives. I don't want any of like.
Yeah, but it's just money. You don't have to have their life,
right?
To have money,
right?
And you don't have to think about money if you have it.
Right.
The problem with money is people become obsessed with it because it's so difficult to attain, and there's so much societal value put on being wealthy.
Right.
That it becomes the thing instead of a thing.
I mean, I have a friend that has like hundreds of billions of dollars, and
hundreds of billions.
Hundreds of billions. Like one of the,
I have one too.
Yeah, and you know how weird those guys are, right?
They're weird guys.
and I'm pretty close with him. He's not just like and I said, we were having dinner, and I was like, feeling confident. I was like, give me one. He's like, what? I was like, give me one.
1 billion.
And he's like, I don't understand. Yeah, I was like, give me 1 billion. And he's like, I was like, motherfucker, I don't need it. Like, I'm not gonna go buy cars and houses. He's like, what do you want to do with that? He's like, Dave, I don't know if you know how money works. You don't just go up to someone and ask them for $1 billion. I go, motherfucker, I just did. And he's like, well, do you have a plan? Are you going to show me charts and graphs? And I was like, no, it's all going to be instinct. I will take that 1 billion. And he's like, dude, you got to come to me with like, I'm not saying no, but you got to have a better, you got to have like, how you going to, I go, I promise you, I will spend it like the most irresponsible possible. Like it'll be like exactly, because most of these people that have billions, they're like geniuses, and they spent, everything is down to a fraction, and they just grind and crunch numbers in their brain, and that's not how I think. I think very abstract. And I go, I'm going to do stuff that on paper makes absolutely no sense. And I promise you I will change the planet with that money. Like, I'm going to do shit that, and then he was like, he didn't say no, but he was thinking it over, and he's like, dude, there's no way like my money guys are going to this. And then I sat there and I thought about it, because money is power. I was like, dude, I don't want $1 billion. I don't want that responsibility. And ultimately he was like, no. And I was like, thank you.
So it was just a wild thought.
Yeah.
Spontaneous.
Yeah. If he had given it to me, I would have been like those weird people. I was like, I don't want to touch that. I don't want to touch that.
You would have tried it out for a while.
Right.
You would have tried it out for a while, and then you would have gone back to being you.
Right. And then so that game of that video game of money has no go. Like 2009 was my last art show where I actually sold stuff for money, and I didn't feel good. It was like my galler Steve Lazaridis is like Banksy's guy, and he's like, Cho, like, you're on fire. Street art's on fire right now. Like, what do you want to do? I go, it's gonna be in LA. It has to be in LA. It has to be on Rodeo Drive. Like, it has to be on the most expensive street in the world. And I want like every celebrity there, and like, you know, and so it did. It happened. It was like, it was a show in Beverly Hills. All the celebrities came, all the fancy people came. I sold all the art. And the next day I didn't feel any different. And then at that point, the artist gets objectified to like, just, I got a Basquiat, I got a Cho, I got a Banksy.
Right,
and I'm like,
right.
I'm like, the guy that's buying my art that can afford it, he doesn't care about the art. He just wants to, like, it's a dick contest, right? He just wants to show off,
Yeah.
like, hey, I got a Cho. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not what the universe wants for me, to like just make expensive stuff. So at that point, I told my manager and everyone I work with, I'm like, everything someone, I'll just trade or give it to them, but I'm not selling shit anymore. So that kind of like ended, like, you know, and about how to preserve wealth and make more money. And I go, let's do like a Monte Carlo simulation and figure out when I'm going to die by my lifestyle of how I live. And let's get it down so that I have zero by the time I'm done. Like, I want to, and they're like, so every business decision I've made since I've made that decision is I just lose money. I just lose money. And then the video game of sex, which I wasn't very good at, is age 0 to 30 long-term kind of relationships. There was no like one night, like, I don't got any game. I'm not, and like the same way, if you saw me in my 20s as like a street urchin, like street kid, and he's like, oh, I'm going to be the richest artist in the world, you'd be like, you know what the odds of that happening are? Like, it's ridiculous. In that same way, and like, not to sound vulgar or you know, objectify women, but that's what I did at that age. I was young and I was like, I'm tired of the Asians or like sexless, small dick, you know, the math nerd. Like, I want to fuck the most amount of women as possible. And that was even more ridiculous than me saying I want to be the richest artist. And then I just went on a tear for a decade, right? Like, it was awkward at first, and then like a video game at the end, a combination of like a comedian working out their material, right? And with the oncoming social media and all the, you know, internet stuff, I could figure out on the dates I've been on which material killed. Like, what did I say to make what girl laugh, and you know, and I would have all of those, like a crazy person, like in my notes folders, and I could say the perfect combination of words to make a girl laugh, or like, so using everything at my disposal, anything like money, you know, fun, charm, like jokes, power, like I'll get you on this thing, or like just cueing in on what is it that you want, and I can get you that. And, you know, I was sleeping with multiple women a day, and I was like, this, like, you would never believe, okay, not you, I would never believe what I was doing. Like, I was every night, tens, like Victoria's Secret models, A-list celebrities, just like, I was like, whoa. And, you know, I got to a point where I was like, my friends and I debate, they're like, you were like a week away from sucking dick. And I was like, it's probably like more like 2 days away. Cause it just gets there, right? Like, I was just like in rooms, like having threesomes, group sex. And I was like, I'm an artist. I should, you know, and my parents were convinced I was. Like, I was in a car going to an art show with my parents in Mexico City. And my mom, you know, she's like completely invested in my career. And she's like, hey, you know, Andy Warhol used to do like 10, 20 push-ups, and then his mom would give him like a Snicker bar. And I was like, that's an interesting fact, Mom. I didn't know that. And he was gay. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, Leonardo da Vinci, when he used to go out, like no one would know he's an artist. He wouldn't have like a speck of paint on him. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that, Mom. And he was gay. And I was like, where's this going? And then my dad's in the front driving. He's like, he's not gay. I told you he's not gay. And my mom's like, you know, we're Christian, and, you know, but we know that you're an artist, and we know you haven't brought a woman home in like 10 years. So just, it's okay. You could come out of the closet. And I was like, I love being gay so much. Like, I'm not, like, I almost wish I was, right? Like, when I play like Dungeons and Dragons or a role-playing game or RPG, like video game, or anytime I act or do anything that's like online or like a game, I always want to be a gay guy. Like, I just love it. I love that feeling. I want to play gay guys, if, you know, but I just don't love dick. I want to. I want to love it, but I just...
Why do you want to?
I just, like, part of it is like, my shame makes me shameless, and like I like it when it hurts kind of thing. Like, I got close where there was a transsexual woman. I think her name was Eva. Like, her penis was right here, and I was like, it's right there. I should just like at least lick it or touch it, at least just to say I tried it, and I could say I didn't like it or I did like it, but right. I just couldn't. I was like, I was so bored, not of just pussy or women or whatever. I just was bored of
the endeavor
of that, and then, you know, you meet people and everyone has their game. Like, Hollywood people are like, I gotta get that Emmy or that Oscar, or, you know? And so I like pick the game I want to play. Money, power. And then it's like, I sit here, and the thing that I learned, the number one important lesson from gambling is get out while you're ahead, is like, I love how much money I have right now. Like, it's the perfect amount. I love that, like, I have no regrets. Like, I've had sex with so many different women that, like, I don't need that anymore. I could be a monk for the rest of my life if I want to, you know, like, and so there's only one final quest, and that's the spiritual quest, right? And that's where, like, people say shit like, the answer is love, and it's like, it is, right? And like there will be shit, there's shit that we talked about before we start recording that we can't, and then there will be shit that we talk about later, and we live in this world now where it's like, it's a crazy world, right? And the answer is love, and everyone says it, and it's in movies and it's in books, but it's, what does that path look like? And so I go towards where I feel that, and I feel that in Africa. When I go to Africa, I feel that, like, in my soul, to my bones. And, you know, I look like this in Austin and no one judges me. Like, you would think going to Africa, the places I go where there's no Asians, that they would say shit, but they don't. They just accept me. They call me brother. They take me in. They show me their lives, and they're like, you're just part of our tribe now. And I'm like, it makes me want to cry, you know? So, and the fact that, you know, I have this beautiful relationship with you, and, you know, you let me talk about this stuff, and then those words get to, you know, like, I don't know Logan Paul. That guy calls me up right after the show. He's like, take me to Africa, bro. Take me. I'm like, okay, you know, like, and it's just a tremendous thing. And then, you know, we made this film, and it's, you know, it's like the best documentary I've ever seen. So if anyone, like, wants to see a trailer, or it's We Are Hadza, the Maleka Foundation.
Is it available, the whole thing?
Like, it's done. Like, it's done. It's like, I'll send you a link if you want to watch it. Like, it's amazing. But it's like, last time I came on here, I had made a TV show. Like, I do everything backwards, right? Like like the normal way to get a show on, and this is, I definitely want to ask you about this. The normal way you get a show on TV is you pitch it, right? You come up with an idea, but like, things don't cost that much anymore. I mean, I'm speaking from a rich guy,
Yeah.
so I know what that sounds like. But compared to what it used to cost,
Right.
Like you don't, if you have a nice camera and you got a good editing thing,
Much cheaper.
like the movie that just won the Oscar, Everything Everywhere All at Once, is like my favorite movie. It had like 6 guys doing the special effects, and then you have, you know, Top Gun, not Top Gun, but like all these other movies that have like, when you see the credits at the end, it's like thousands of like Korean names. And you're like, so you can do things relatively cheaply compared, right? So I made the show on FX called The Cho Show, and I made it exactly the way I want. And you know, like some, you know, whatever, something got cut. There was some notes, and that's where I get stuck a lot of times, right? Because no one tells me what to do when I paint. I could do whatever the fuck I want. But when it comes to media, there's a bigger audience. People are more sensitive. People can get triggered, this and that. So a lot of decisions made in Hollywood are fear-based decisions, and
Yes.
I don't live my life that way.
Yeah, well, they're platform-based decisions, right? So the problem is you're an artist, but the people that distribute the stuff are not artists.
Right.
They're executives and money people.
Right.
And all those money people, they look at you and they go, well, David Cho's very popular. He's very eccentric. This might work. We might be able to make money. And then they start thinking about new cars they're going to buy and new
Right.
houses they're going to buy. They don't think about it the way you think about it. So the problem with being in business with people like that is business. That's the problem.
Right,
You're just
right.
trying to create something cool.
Yeah, you're like, because there is really, like, Atlanta's a great show, Rami's a great show. There's great shows.
There's great shows, but
But then you're like, at the end, they're still trying to sell refrigerators with the advertising.
Right.
Yeah.
but not always. I mean, generally that's the case, but there's a lot of people that create those shows that aren't trying to do that. And then someone else is pitching it to the network, and someone's smart enough to leave that fucking guy alone.
Right.
And a lot of times it's just because something is just so successful, like South Park, for instance.
Right.
Comedy Central 100% would fuck South Park up if they brought it to them right now. They'd be like, what are you going to do?
Right.
You hold on. You're going to shove Paris Hilton up a gay teacher's ass on TV? No.
Right,
no,
right.
you can't do that.
Right.
What are you going to do? You're going to draw Muhammad?
Right.
But you're going to have Muhammad dressed as a teddy bear inside of a Brinks truck?
Right.
No. No, you can't do that. But they're so big and they've been around for so long. They
Right.
can get away with it even in one of the most restrictive and goofy climates in media. So they've become big enough so they could do that. So it has to be someone, you know, whoever it is, where they just leave you the fuck alone. And that's very, very rare. But if you just want to distribute something on YouTube, you can kind of do whatever the fuck you want. You can make something pretty incredible.
I just helped, like, produce, and, like, I was the cameraman, so it's not my film, but I'm like, I'm gonna have to talk to you about this, because it's like, I want people to see it, because it's all the proceeds we're gonna donate back to the Hadza. But it's like Paco Returta, who's like the best, you know, I met him, he's in the Philippines, he made the Cho Show, he's the one that edited this thing, and I don't, like, it's not my movie, I'm just like there to help.
There it is.
Oh, there it
We are
is.
Hadza. So the full-length feature film is just, that's just a trailer.
This is just a trailer. I'll send you the link to it, but, like, yeah, that's Nona. He's so funny. You're not gonna see any of that's Hannah Sparkman, the filmmaker.
Wow.
I mean,
I was immediately drawn to them.
I'll put
Every
it
chance
like this, Joe. Like, what is America's appetite or to see, like, it's not, you're not going to see it in the trailer, but, like, they catch a pregnant baboon, right? They rip the belly open, the fetus of the baboon falls out, and the second it hits the ground, 10 dogs tear it to pieces. Then they love the protein, or what's the brain made out of? Like, brain matter. But, like, I'm not a nutrition. That's like, they know, like, instinctually they know that has, like, fat or something in it.
there's a lot of
So
fat.
it's like the delicacy. Like, the animal, like, looks human. Then they tear through it, and, like, I go in a cave, and it's white, right? The brain is, like, white and gray, and I shine a flashlight because I hear, like, I hear that noise, and I turn the flashlight on, and I see, like, like 10 dudes like fighting each other to like scoop as much brain and this white shit all over their face. And then as they drop the skulls on the ground, there's a baby playing drums on the baboon skull heads, and I'm like, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know if this is this is how people survive.
Yes.
But I don't know if that's just too much. I don't know if people.
I don't think it's too much. It's real, and you know, that's how those people have been surviving for a long time. It's natural. As bizarre as it seems, it's natural.
Yeah.
Because we have a really hard time with people eating primates.
Right.
You know, my friend Steve Ranella, he filmed a show in South America, and he was with this hunter-gatherer tribe in South America. I forget what the name. See if you can find the name of the tribe. I think they were in Guyana. Mm-hmm. And they killed a monkey and ate it, and he had some of the monkey, and it was like you're very conflicted. It's very strange.
Well,
it's a primate. I mean, it's like imagine if you were in a different world, right? And just imagine this, mm-hmm. and you go to a place where there's a friendly group of cannibals, and they have been hunting one specific type of person, maybe like. Pale-skinned blonde people are the most delicious.
Yeah.
And they just chase down these, these kind of savage-looking, pale-skinned, blonde-haired people and cook them and eat them. They don't eat anybody else. They just eat pale, blonde.
Albinos.
Yeah.
Like.
And these people are wild-looking people. They're wearing, like, leaves over their dicks, and they're running around barefoot. So you can kind of detach. You're there with your Air Force Ones on. Like, I'm not the same as them. This is different. This is kind of what it's like when we're eating primates, because we're eating our history.
Well, I mean, so that's what I'm saying. The visuals, like when they when they throw the monkey on the fire, that's how they get the fur off. Yeah. And he's like this. Yeah. And it looks like the crucifix on fire. I'm like, and you see the skull. I'm like, it looks human, right? And then there was that.
Was it you that said, or was it Ranella that said one of the things that freaked him out was when the arrow hit him, he grabbed it with his hand?
Oh, I think I told you that story. Because
that's crazy.
We filmed, like, part of the thing is, this is the only documentary where I've never seen it on YouTube, where we filmed the baboon hunt from beginning to end. And it's like, monkey's running, fuck you. Like, he's like, that's like what he's screaming sounds like, fuck you. Wow. And then a dog gets his nutsack and rips it off. And then you're running and you see the nutsack on the ground. And I'm like, what is this? And they're like, keep that. That's nutritious. That's like the prize, like the top hunter gets that. I'm like, all right. And then you're just running. And then like they get him. And then he's grabbing the arrow and the dogs are just ripping his stomach out. And he's like, fuck.
Oh my God.
It's like a.
Oh my God.
But.
Baboons are so weird too, because they're almost like a cross between a primate and a dog. Like they have that long face, like almost like a wolf's face.
Yeah, I mean,
like when their teeth are bared, they're a wild-looking creature.
And like, once again, like I only went on a few hunts. I wasn't like considered too manly because I couldn't hang. Yeah. So I'm back with the women and children, and like I'm teaching the kid how to play drums on like baboon skulls. There's like maggots coming out of the nose, and I'm like, hey, there's like that kid shouldn't be playing. There's maggots, and then she goes, whoop, and she just eats them, and I'm like, oh my God, there's nutrition in that too. I'm like, holy fuck, And then there is a serial killer, a Japanese serial killer that wrote a book about which human, like he's like French people are buttery, like did you know that what I'm talking about, Jamie? There's like that dude, and speaking as a cannibal myself, like I don't know. Culturally, I don't know if you did this when your kids were born. Like, there's cultures that eat the placenta.
I did not, but my uncle did it.
So, am I cannibal if I eat the placenta? I mean, I'm eating.
Well, sort of. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, and then he talks about like how different races taste different.
That guy goes on TV and jokes around about, like, pretends to bite people. Like he killed someone and ate them, right?
Yeah, a lot. He ate like 2 French girls, I think. I don't know.
How was he out on the street? He killed his friend Renee Hartevelt and ate her remains. Yet he's free to walk the streets to this day. Like, how is that possible? Do they just have different ways of prosecuting people in Japan? And
I mean,
He's reformed? Are you going to say he's reformed?
Psychiatric hospital loophole.
Oh, loophole. He's,
Jesus Christ, though, dude. I mean, that is a crazy situation.
so
The guy killed a woman and ate her, and he's just wandering around
He even
amongst
starred
us.
in a softcore porn where he reenacts and bites actors.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
so yeah, I mean,
Look at this. And throughout his life, he's been chillingly unrepentant.
yeah.
When he
like,
discusses his crime, it's as if he believes it's the most natural thing in the world, and he plans to do it again. Jesus Christ, man.
he wrote manga about it.
Jesus Christ. That guy's wandering around saying he's going to do it again.
Well, OJ's walking around.
But OJ lies, at least.
I know that's true.
But
But
I
yeah,
think
I-
if we were all hungry, we would all do the same thing.
I ate my wife's placenta, and then like, I don't know. It's the jury's out whether it's actually does anything, but we've been doing it as humans for like
Yeah.
thousands of years. So any of my friends whose wives get pregnant, I go, hey, if you guys are gonna throw it out, I'll take it. So I have a freezer full of human placenta, and I keeping this guy. I go, if my friend's wife is like Indian, is it like have a different flavor than if it's a white person or if it's a Korean
Right.
person or a black
Right.
person, and yeah, I mean, that's just I don't know, like.
Crime scene of the meal.
Jamie, come on, bro.
Oh my God, this is meal, dude. Please take that away. Take that away. I don't need to look at plates of human flesh. Fuck.
I mean, you've been to my
There's a giant difference between that and someone who, obviously who's hunting a primate for food.
right.
But there's just a thing that we have where it's closer to that than like eating a fish. Like eating a fish is very far removed from us. Like people don't even mind
Right,
if you
right.
show photos.
Well, the thing is, in this particular area with specifically the Hadza, it is baboon because that's all that's left.
Yeah.
Like when I think I told you this last time, the oldest guy in that village is like, we used to kill everything, elephants, cheetahs, lion, everything, but they're just all like close to extinction now. That's the last of us that's there, and it's totally like we're in a cave, they're in a cave.
Yeah.
They run like this, we run like this. Like it's fucking
really,
bizarre.
It's really hard when you're talking about this because I don't see a way for that culture out as humans expand.
Well, I'm not going to pretend like I have the answer to it, but even when we go there, we let them decide, right? We're like, we raise this money. I work with the Maleka Foundation or even this movie. If it makes money, we don't go, this is what you should be doing. Like we're sending them, those kids are like, we want to go to school to get educated so that we can like use words. And like, there's one guy named Shawnee and he's like, did I tell you this last time?
Probably, but it's okay.
He's
Say
like
it
the
again.
only, like some white lady took an interest in him. So this is straight up Crocodile Dundee. Like he is like, he can like run up a tree and kill a squirrel with his, like rip his head off and eat it. But he's the only one that went to law school. Wow. So he speaks Swahili, Hadzabe, English, right? So he can wear like a suit and tie and then still have like the Hadza headband. And he's the only one that has ever, as far as I know, that was able to get all the proper paperwork to leave to come to the U.S. So he stayed at my house when he came, and I got him a shrimp. I took him to like every like insane restaurant. He'd never been in a swimming pool. He swam in my pool for like 7 hours. He was like trying to drink the chlorine. I was like, dude, don't drink that. I took him to Fogo de Chao, and he was like, leave the sword. They brought out the shrimp cocktail, and he was like, oh, you guys eat scorpion? I'm like, bro, that's not scorpion. It was like everything, everywhere I took him, he would eat it with his hands, like at these like gourmet restaurants, and he's like, and like grease is just going down his arm, and it was like, he had like the best time, but he's like, I'm so glad I went to law school, so now I have the tools to go fight for my people, and I don't know what the answer is, but yeah,
That's amazing.
It's like
That's an amazing story. How alien must it be to a person to see an entire pool filled with water that they can't drink?
dude,
Well, these people are drinking out of puddles in that
the
documentary that
escalator
you showed.
going up the escalator,
Yeah.
like yeah.
But you showed these people drinking out
Yes.
of puddles.
Yeah.
And imagine they're looking at this crystal clear water and they can't drink it. You're telling them they can't drink it. Like,
Right.
what are we doing with chlorine? How bad is that shit for your skin?
Dude, it's the worst, man.
It can't be. Is chlorine bad for you? Like chlorine from the pool?
I don't.
How could it be good for
I have
you?
the rich guy pool now.
Saltwater.
No, it's the next one.
Oh, there's a next one.
Oxygenated pool.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's fancy.
Really? How do they do that?
Dude, I don't like. I go to another rich guy's house and I say, oh,
How?
and they
How'd you
go,
get
oh,
that?
you have chlorine? Dude, you got to get a salt. I go, okay, I'll just do whatever you tell me. And they go, we got the saltwater pool. And then I go to another rich guy's house and they go, I went to Sia's place and she's like, oh, I have the oxygenated pool. I'm like, all right, give me his number. So it's like, if the whole system, the power grid, everything goes down, you could drink out of that pool. There's no chlorine in it.
That's
Like,
awesome. I think the best water that feels like ocean water feels the best.
Yeah.
Like when you swim in ocean water, there's something about ocean water where it's not just water. It feels alive. It feels like you're dipping into an ecosystem. You're not in a petri dish. Like a swimming pool feels like a petri dish.
You ever snort it?
Snort?
Yeah,
Ocean
like,
water?
Yeah, like
What do you think the answer to that question
I don't
would
know,
be?
like, but you.
I mean, accidentally.
My
Yeah.
dad says
I've got
that
it up my
if
nose
you're
accidentally, but I didn't snort it for effect, though.
I'm not trying to do it like, but like, there was, when I meet old healthy people, I always ask them like, "What's your secret?" And he said, "I snort salt water like when I go swimming." And he takes a little bit in his hand and he swims and he goes. And it burns like this, and this guy swears by it. He's like, I fucking love it. I'm like, all right, So I tried it. It did burn.
Well, isn't that a lot like a neti pot? Like,
Yeah.
people do that to clean their nose out, right?
Yeah.
I read about someone who had this might be propaganda. This might be against the neti pot industry, but there was someone was using a
you,
neti
neti
pot
pot.
and they got a brain, some sort of a parasite. And
Look,
they died.
there's always gonna be like one, right? There's always
I
gonna
know,
be.
but we should live in fear. That's what I'm saying. We should just live in fear.
I snort salt water.
happened in Seattle.
Is it real?
Yeah.
What is it? So someone in Seattle, what did they just snort? A man dies of a brain-eating amoeba, possibly from rinsing his sinuses with tap water.
This one is in Florida.
Oh, that's in Florida. So there's more than one.
You heard Steve-O's bit about this, right?
No, but if that shit gets in your brain from tap water, like what about when you swallow it?
All right, you saw
have to boil it?
You saw the Hadza drinking the brown water, right?
Yes.
It's not that water has like cow poop in it, and like it's disgusting, right? When I met Steve-O, he's like, when his family traveled a lot when he was younger, and he said when he goes to other countries, they always tell you don't drink the water in Mexico, don't drink the, and he'd always do it, and so he'd get like crazy diarrhea, get sick. But now he says he has the most insane like gut biome, and and he never gets sick now, which like he seems like he should be dead and he isn't. And so the Hadza have a very similar thing with them. They have an insane micro gut biome, like the most diverse ever. So if I drink that shit, that brown water, I'd be dead.
You'd be fucked.
Yeah, I'd be fucked.
Do you know what Joel Salatin is? Mm-mm. Joel Salatin is he's one of those guys who's he does these farms where all the animals on the it's called polyface farms. All the animal on the farms, they all work together. It's it's called regenerative agriculture.
Yeah.
So there's no pesticides, no herbicides, and it's all just about moving the animals around and having them. And he drinks out of the cattle, those fucking buckets where the cows drink out, those long
trough?
The trough,
Yeah.
He drinks the water out of that for his own gut biome.
All right, so, okay, you're the perfect guy to, I'm like you've offered to give me on it shit, but I just buy all of that stuff anyways. Like, in the same way with the oxygenated pool, there's like, you live a life very similar to mine where sometimes we meet people and they go, hey man, if I had your money, this is what I would do, right? They tell you what they would do, right? So at one point I'm sitting there winning the video game of money and I go, you came to my warehouse years ago, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm like, I had this like 20, 30,000
dope spot downtown. That was dope.
But I was like, dude,
I was like, damn, this is how famous artists should live. This is fucking badass. It was badass. I was like, yeah, that's because if I went over your house and it was like IKEA furniture or some shit, it would be so boring. But you lived exactly how like I would hope that you lived.
Yeah, and I loved it. I bought every car that I want. I just got everything I wanted, and I said, there's something that, so as a rich guy, I should have the best everything. So because I want to live, the longest. So I had state-of-the-art gym, and I think this is 15 years ago or more. Like, you're the first person to ever tell me about float tank. You're like, here's my float tank guy. I had the float tank. I had the UV spa. I had everything. I had the ice bath, all the shit. I had the best, most expensive weights. The smoothie that I'm having every morning is like $1,000. I don't know if it's 1,000, but it has placenta, human placenta.
Jesus.
It has 2 eggs, shell on, not washed.
Whoa.
Banana sticker on.
Shell on, not
Shell
washed.
on. I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger do it. So banana peel on, like a whole bitter melon, like the most disgusting shake ever. Like every single powder at Erewhon that costs like $100, the $300 like honey, the Manuka honey, Siberian cedar, pine oil, like every single thing that someone says is good, it tastes like shit, and I just down it. And I have like the $600 trainer that shows up to my house, and I realized like it was kind of like I'm gonna live long and be healthy, but like it felt lonely. I'm paying a guy to be here, and like the thing that I was missing in my life was accountability, because there was no I want a life where I have no accountability. I want to be like a kid. I want to be Robin Hood or Peter Pan forever. And so people were like, oh, if money will keep you accountable. If you're paying someone $600 an hour, like you're definitely going to show up to that appointment. I'm like, no, I'm not. So I found this guy, this rogue trainer that like my friend was like, I know a guy. And I was like, well what's this guy? Like the money thing's not going to, he's like, he hits you. And I was like,
hits
what?
You?
Yeah, he hits you. You got to sign a contract and stuff. And it's like, are you okay? Because this is, and he only like has like 3 clients and they're all super rich.
In the hospital.
Yeah, he's like, you will get into shape, but you have to sign this thing that says I'm allowed to come over to your house. You have to give me a key to your house.
Oh my God.
And so like, and for someone like me who likes pain, I'm like, I don't give a fuck, you know? And so I missed my first, dude, not exaggerating, I missed it by 2 minutes. Like I had to be there. He runs up the stairs, and my mom happened to be stopping at my house to drop off kimchi. So she sees a guy, a huge guy, Russian guy, run up the stairs and start pummeling my sternum. And she screams like, ah! And I was like, ah!
Oh my God.
I was like, Mom, I paid this guy to do this.
Oh my God.
And that scared the shit out of me. Like my mom like almost had a heart attack. I was like, Mom, I'm sorry. And then I sat there and I was like, this ain't it. Like this ain't it, you know? So, and I don't want to give away my exact location, but like currently my, you know, this might be going further the complete opposite side of the spectrum, but I go to the, like one of the shittiest 24-hour fitnesses in LA. I mean, there's a guy popping zits and shaving his neck and wiping his ass in the sink. There's always a homeless guy in the sauna doing push-ups. Like, it feels like a lot of homeless guys have the pass to this one, and they just go there to like shower
up.
There's always someone about to like looking like they're about to give a hand job in the showers or like in the sauna. And once in a while I get recognized or whatever, but I go there with my friends. It's communal, like I don't know. And I'm like, I don't know if this is it either. So it's like it's either running top speed to hunt food with the Hadza, the super, super rich guy program on this side, the kind of like, you know, showering with homeless guys and getting hand jobs at the 24-hour fitness. And I'm like, I want, you know, like I have a family now. I want to like have a healthy life where I live, but just I haven't found. The thing that speaks to me the most is the moving to Africa right now. Maybe not Africa, but like close by where I get to be in like a not populated area where I'm closer to nature. And I mean, like, once again, dude, only been here for like one night already, but Austin is just, I mean, it's just amazing. Like this is.
We should probably stop talking about it. Too many people are moving here.
Yeah, and I don't know if they want people that look like this moving here.
Of course they do. It's interesting. What the thing they always say about Austin is keep Austin blue and surrounded. So like what keeps it in check is it's surrounded by real Texas, like real country Texas. But Austin, the city, is very progressive, super progressive. And I think it's a perfect combination because I think the two of them balance each other out and keeps everything in check. progressive people in Austin are much more reasonable than a lot of the progressive people that I met in L.A. It's just a generalization for sure.
It's definitely
But they're like
an anomaly.
they're Texas people,
Right.
You know, it's like there's a deeply rooted independence in this state that came from how difficult it was to settle.
Yeah.
Like there's this fucking amazing book, the Comanche book. What is the name of it, Jamie? Empire of the Summer Moon. Empire of the Summer Moon. It's a fucking insane book about the Comanche who lived here. It's one of the best books I've ever read. I've read it twice.
All right, I'm going to check that out.
It's really good, dude. And it's all about the history of this state was so difficult to conquer because the Comanches were the best at riding horses and they were best at raising horses out of all the Native American tribes. And so they had these massive stockpiles of horses.
Yeah.
And they would ride on the horses and shoot arrows before the guys could get off a second shot. Because the whole thing about old school guns
So
like
it was like-
muskets.
it was like this shit, like,
Exactly.
it was
They
like-
kept the arrows in their fingers and they would fire them off one at a
You do
time.
that shit?
I can't do that. No. But they
That's like
they could
Hawkeye.
do. Yeah, that's crazy shit. But they could do. There's a dude that does it though, Lars Anderson guy.
Faster than shooting a gun.
Yeah, check out this guy. There's this guy we've had him on before, but he's actually bringing back these old methods that people actually forgot, mostly based on artwork. Like he's looking at these artist renditions of guys with multiple arrows in their fingers.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that was about Empire of the Summer Moon, right?
All right, I got
Yeah,
it.
It's in there. But when you see him do it, it's really impressive. Look how,
Shit.
watch how
Oh,
he can do
shit.
this.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
Yeah, so he's got them all stacked up there, and he's just lining them all up one at a time.
All right, I got it. I'm
Insane.
gonna come to Austin. I'm gonna learn how to shoot like that. I'm gonna like take.
You'd have to meet that guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he's in Austin. I don't think he's American, right? Isn't he somewhere?
I'll take years to learn to do this, and then I'll bring this skill to the Hadza.
Oh, yeah, if they knew it. Well, if you just brought them fucking compound bows, they would be infinitely more successful. But what I was saying before about them, though, was that if...
Did you see that last shot? He was like,
yeah, no, he does crazy shit.
he was like on the horse, like.
But look how he can run and do this. It's really impressive. See, look, he's on a horse and he's
And his
shooting things.
face is just so monotone. He's just like.
They think that's how the Mongols did it too. And there's even some really ancient photos of hieroglyphs in Egypt that depict arrows that are held in a similar way. So they think, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's not like he's the first guy to figure this out.
I mean,
Pretty interesting shit.
Austin, like I don't know any of that history, but like it is definitely. I've never been to a place like this. It's like surrounded by all this like red parts of Texas. It's just.
That's where the balance comes in, though.
It feels loving. Like the people, are, like just in like the lady at the hotel and the restaurant. Like everyone's super nice. You're not that landlocked because you could like it's 2 hours away to the water.
Right.
I don't know. It's like I'm feeling it. You know, as long as like there's some place where I could get kimchi, like I'm good.
I'm sure there is.
Dude, I have a question for you. That you're the perfect person to ask for this because people that don't know this about Joe Rogan used to be an actor.
Well, I've done some acting. I wasn't very good at it. I was good at sitcom acting. I never did like real acting.
No, you went hard like on news radio and like.
But that's sitcom acting's not hard, man. It's like the hard shit is like Daniel Day-Lewis, Joaquin Phoenix acting.
Okay.
That's hard acting. But like just playing a guy and saying a funny line.
So you don't
it's
act
pretty
anymore?
Easy. No.
And like, there's no project that you would come back to.
I'm not
act?
interested in it. It's
So,
just
like,
it's okay, I love
Scorsese
it.
or
It's just not
anybody-
it's not a negative on acting. I mean, I love movies. You know, I love great acting. I just don't like to do it.
All
It's
right.
just too many hours. It takes too long. It's not what I'm interested in. You know, I'm more interested in podcasts and stand up, and I don't have enough time to do anything else other than UFC commentary.
So there's no project you can think
I'm just
of
not interested.
if it was like a one-day shoot or
Yeah,
something.
it's great.
Wow.
Yeah, there's other. I don't want to play baseball either. It doesn't mean I hate baseball. I'm just not interested.
Okay. Well,
Like I don't want to do anything like just because it's a job. You know, and that's what it would be.
So last time I came on here, I was like, or maybe in private, I've always told you, like, a little less with the UFC stuff and maybe, like, try to get into painting. And you're like, I'm not interested in painting unless, you know, I don't do anything halfway. Like, I want to go in, right?
Yeah.
And, like, I can't even remember the last time I was on Howard Stern, but it was, like, 15 years ago or something. And either I said it on the show or after it ended, I was like, because I know he's interested in chess and photography and whatever, I just was like, he has like the soul of an artist, and I was like, you should get into painting. And now, like, it's sad for me because I feel like he should have also got out while he was ahead. Like, whenever his contract ended, he should have stopped. He's kind of feeling to me like my dad talking at me or down to me now.
He does a little bit of that.
But his watercolors,
I think that's a natural thing that happens to old men, though.
Jamie, if you could find
I'm probably going to be doing that soon.
Oh, definitely. I hope not, though.
I'm going to be talking down to people soon.
Youngins, I think you'll be more accepting of being talked down to if someone looks like this.
Yes.
But his watercolors,
about that, of course.
His watercolors, he just like paints all the time now, and they're better than most like artists.
I'm sure.
He's
a brilliant guy.
He like went into it hard, you know?
Look, that guy is responsible for all this. If it wasn't for him, I mean, we got ahead of the game.
Yeah,
because of the Howard Stern show. That's very good. This is recent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
so how long did he take to be able to paint like this?
I think he just dedicated like 10 years to it, you know.
Wow.
And he's like, and it's honestly probably why he's not that good at broadcasting anymore.
Because he's interested. In
yeah, because he's like, and you could tell, like, that's a
really
lot.
good.
It's really good, right?
It's really good. Like perspective.
I mean,
shading.
I offered him art lessons.
Wow.
After I did his show, I was like, hey, dude, if you ever want to, like, and he's like, I'm not even close
Look at that.
It's great. Like,
you might be right about that. Maybe that's like his primary focus now.
So I always remember,
but it's also probably like, that's why he doesn't go into town. I mean,
look at that shit, dude. He's like, and those things are tiny. Those are like with those tiny brushes, and
it's really incredible. It's really incredible. But of course, it just like makes sense. Like when I heard that he was like really into chess, I was like, oh, of course he is. That makes sense. It's like whatever led him to figure out how to be the biggest broadcaster in history, that kind of energy could apply to anything. And you're seeing that with
if you're doing that,
yeah,
then it's like that took away from, you know, you only have certain hours in the day.
Right.
And like that's not like a casual, like he's going for it.
Right.
Like that's like, he could sell those in a gallery, right?
I wonder if they're complementary though, because some things I think other activities are complementary. There's like cross training.
That's no talking. Like he uses that's like quiet, nobody, like silent. That's meditation.
But,
you know?
but my thought was, I wonder if that stimulates the mind in a way that might actually make him better at talking to people. Because oftentimes that does happen. Like when you get good at another thing, like you get better at certain aspects of other things that you do that are like correlated.
So can I tell you what happened? And I would love your feedback on it.
Yes.
So I'm kind of like, I didn't realize it, but I'm kind of like that too, right? And just being born and raised in Los Angeles, people go, are you interested in making movies or being an actor? And I never really put it together, but I was like, why would I want to be an actor? Like the only roles available for Asians are Kung Fu Master, which I'm not that good at martial arts. I am an MMA artist, mixed media artist, but not that kind of artist. And I'm not, you know, what is it? It's either like nerd, like math geek, waiter, like it's just, I'd never seen an Asian guy be the lead or something. So it just like, I killed the own dream for me, you know? In the same way, when I give art lessons or play with like someone who's not an artist, the first thing they always throw out is like, I suck. And I go, why did you do that? Why did you just like do that to yourself before we even started?
Yeah.
And it's because we do that from the day that we can talk and walk, right?
Well, we also do that to express humility out of respect for what you do. There's like people say things like that just because they're a fan. Like if you asked me if I could draw, I'd go, I could draw pretty good, but I kind of suck compared to you. I would say that's why they're doing it. They just don't want you to think like, oh, I'm a fucking artist too, bro. You know, like they don't want to come off douchey. They're fans.
I hear you. And that's fair, but don't you think at a young age, if they see like a kid being strong or doing something athletic, they go, oh, he's going to be a football player. And you already start getting boxed into. Like if I start drawing and stuff, they're like, oh, he's going to be an artist. So in the same way, I killed my own dream because I was like, there's just nothing. Like if I in my own the movie in my head, I am Indiana Jones. I'm the fucking Wolverine. I'm Batman. I'm all those things. But I wouldn't have that role if I got it. So I just killed the dream for myself. In the same way, I grew up in a lot of different mixed neighborhoods, and so my dad, who's a great athlete, he plays every sport, would take us to like the playground, and there'd be all these black guys playing basketball, and he could sink it from anywhere in the court, and he'd give us the ball and go, now your turn. Keep in mind, I've never thrown a basketball, so it's like the second I miss, Mr. Miyagi, it's like it's not a safe place to make accidents and whatever. Now at age 46, sometimes I go with my artsy friends early in the morning, like 5:30. We all have kids now, so we go early in the morning before anyone's awake. And because the threat of being made fun of is gone, I'm like, I'm pretty good at. I'm like, I can fucking throw a spiral. Like I can catch I'm like, oh, holy shit. And then same thing, like when I work with people where they know that they're not being watched or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, oh shit, like you're really good at drawing,
Yeah, that holds people back with everything. That holds people back. Performance anxiety holds people back in fights, holds people back with comedy,
So I wasn't trying, like, I'm like you, I'm not trying to be an actor or anything, but during the, every time I've been on TV, it's just either as myself or like a cartoonish, exaggerated version of myself. And so my ego got a little bit inflated because it was like Thumbs Up, my hitchhiking show, or me going looking for a dinosaur, or going on Bourdain's show or Dave Chang's show. It's always just me. I'm not acting, right? And then because I was doing all these like kind of cooking, Dave Chang, you know him, the chef?
I don't know him personally.
Yeah, I was doing this show Ugly Delicious with him on Netflix, and Marielle, the producer of it, is like, do you want to be a food judge on like Top Chef? And I was like, fuck yeah, like I want to go eat good stuff. And it was this Jonathan Gold episode where he's he's like the best food critic in LA that had passed away. So this was like out of respect to him. And Jon Favreau was there, and he has his own cooking show with Roy Choi called The Chef Show on Netflix. And I had heard that he had just gotten the Star Wars gig to do The Mandalorian, and I have mixed feelings about how much that I'm a grown man and I still go to the comic book shop every Wednesday and all that stuff. But like, I love superhero stuff. Like I love Batman, Spider-Man, Superman. I love all that shit. I love all the Star Wars stuff. Even though most of it is all shitty now, I still love it. So I told him, I don't know when I'm ever going to meet this guy again. So as we went to Tacos 1988, and as he got in the car and the valet pulls up, I go, hey, good. I didn't want to be the fanboy guy, but I was like, hey, congratulations on getting that Star Wars gig. And he's like, oh, yeah, thanks, Dave. And then the guy's giving him his keys and he's about to drive off. And I go, yo, put some fucking street art in Star Wars. And he's like, what? And I was like, the Alliance, the Rebel Alliance, like every time in history, the Great Wall, Russia, Vietnam, it doesn't matter. Anytime there's a war anywhere in the world, there's art, rebellious art, right? There's posters, there's graffiti of saying like, fuck the system, fuck the man, down with the, whatever. I'm like, in Star Wars, you have like Nazi type characters, you have all this like fighting, and there's no like graffiti. And he goes, you're right, Dave.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, and he goes, you're right, Dave, and you should do it. And I had just had my kid and stuff, and he's like, I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to look for work right now. I'm just saying someone should do that. And he goes, you're right, and it should be you. And I was like, fuck, man. So I get this, and it was fun for me. And I went hardcore nerd. I was like, okay, Jawas are like this tall, so the graffiti would be like this, and Luke Skywalker would not be known on this side. So I'm like learning the Arabesh language, the Star Wars language, and I'm layering the graffiti so it would be accurate. Like I'm like going total nerd, and he goes, all right. And he tries to pay me, and I go, dude, I haven't gotten a paycheck in like 10 years. Like I don't want to get paid. And the guy at Lucasfilm is like, you don't want to get paid? Like you're gonna get paid a lot of money for this. I go, I don't want to fill out taxes for this shit. Like I don't work. Like I'm jobless. And he goes, you're the first person that's ever denied a check from Disney. And I was like, no, I'm not. And then I go, put me in, coach. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, put me in for, like, just so I could tell my friends and shit that I was in Star Wars. and so 8 hours of makeup, 8 hours of fucking makeup. Wow. Look at that shit. Like fucking prosthetics, So I have 1 second of screen time. That's like a camera panning, you know, and I had to do and then, you know, they put like paint speckles. Like they made it look like I was the guy that actually did the graffiti and, you know.
Oh.
So this is the first time I'm on TV acting, like not as me. So I go home. I write a short story about the backstory of my character. And I go, oh, it's too boring for me to scream in English. I'm going to learn Huttese, Jabba the Hutt's language. So I'm out there. I got 5 pages of dialogue. Like, we're at a gambling ring. We're betting on Gamorrean guards fighting. So it's like a fight scene. And it's like, fuck him up, Chris, like all that. And I'm saying it, Nichu Jujuman Achaka Tupu. And like, everyone's like, dude, you're a fucking extra that's in here for 1 second. And no one asked you to learn Jabba the Hutt's language. And, you know, but I didn't know how to not go hard, you know, with it. And then,
so did they tell you to not do it?
They didn't. They're like, I'm the extra hanging out there, and I go, hey, just like, I know, like, you know, this is just me being me. I'm like, I'm not trying to get more airtime or whatever, but I did write a backstory of how I ended up I am a gambling addict. This is how I ended up at a Gamorrean guard gambling thing, and I give it to Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, who are like the showrunners, and they're like, yeah, we'll get right on that, Dave. So
that's hilarious.
So I'm like, wow, I'm not, like, I went kind of all in, like I wasn't, you know. So anyways, it was enough. I was like, that was great. Then I get a call one day from Ali Wong and Steve Yeun at the same time. They're on this new show on Netflix called Beef from A24, and they say the same thing. They go, Dave, have you ever thought about acting? And I'm like family, dude. I'm like chilling, trying to figure out how to get to Africa. Like, I'm not trying to do this. And I go, what's the part? And they're like, well, it would be filming in LA. It'd be for like 3 months, and you'd be playing an angry Korean guy. And I'm like, well, is that how you guys see me? You know, I'm pretty chill. You know, like in my normal life, like I'll tell you all this shit later. But like, I kicked my parents out of the mansion I bought them because I asked them a million times not to do certain things, and they didn't listen to me. And I was like, I'm not like making crazy requests. It's just like, I've learned what a boundary is, and please don't cross it. And they did. So this is my real life, right? My real life is like my brother, my family. Like when they fuck with me, I go, I'd ask you like not to do that. And if you do that, then I'm going to have to remove, like, that's my normal life. But in this TV show, I'm like, fuck you. Like, I'm like waving my gun out, like, and they're like, the character's name is Isaac Cho. And I'm like, that's not that far of a stretch, you know? And so I go, why don't you guys hire an actor, like a real actor? And they're like, there's all these people coming in casting, and they're like playing to be like Asian gangster tough guy, but you're just an asshole. And I'm like, should I take an acting class? Like, I don't want to, like, you know, Steve Yeun's like Oscar nominated, like Ali Wong, like, they're like, no, Dave, just come in and be yourself. I'm like, fuck you guys. So I come in, and I thought they were offering me the part. So I come in, and it's an audition, and I go, I'm too fucking old for this shit. Like, I'm too fragile to like. They
didn't make a distinction when you were having a conversation. How casual was this conversation for you to come into a movie?
Oh man,
or a television show?
I mean, I went in, and I just like, I want to do a good job, so I fully yeah.
But you didn't know it was an audition.
I didn't. I thought they were.
So
I thought they were asking me like, can you do this? And I was like, all right, fuck it, you know. So I went in, and I'm like sitting next to the 10 other guys that are actual actors, and I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna get this part, you know. And then I do my part, and I'm like waiting by the phone, like, I hope validate me. I hope you like me. And then they call me, and they're like, you got the part. I'm like, oh shit. Like, I kind of like didn't want to get it. In the same way, like, do you ever watch Survivor?
Yes.
Like, so a lot of people don't even know it's still on there, but it's been on there for like 30 years.
That's crazy how long it's been on.
And yeah, and then they asked me to be on a Survivor offshoot called Take It to the Edge or Beyond the Edge, and it's like all washed up I sound mean right now. It was like it was like a 70-year-old ex-supermodel and like retired NFL players.
Right.
And I was the last one, so I'm like, what? Like, Steve-O said no? And I called Steve-O. I was like, did they hit you up? He's like, yeah, I said no. And I was like, oh, I love Survivor. This ain't it, but I should do this. And and they were like, please just, and it was during the pandemic. It was like, you compete with other celebrities, and the thing with this is there's no losers. Everyone wins, and we donate all the money to charity. And I was like, it was the fattest I'd ever been. I ate so much Postmates during the thing. And my trainer or my manager was like, dude, you gotta, if you're gonna do this, I say don't do it. But if you're gonna do it, like you're gonna be with all these like washed up people, like you have to win. So then, that's when I hired the hitting guy. So I did actually get into pretty good shape. And then ultimately at the end, I said no. And then at a party, I met Jeff Probst and I said, hey, dude, I almost did this show. And he's like, oh, I'm not a part of that. But why don't you do the actual Survivor? And I was like, dude, I'm fucking super rich. No one's going to let me win, like get all the way to the end. He's like, we had Mike White. We had another guy that got like to the end. And I was like, all it would take is one of those people to recognize who I am. And then like, they're going to like vote me out immediately. He's like, dude, we think you have like the right thing. So I got into like the best shape. And, you know, it's obviously nice having Jeff bat for me, but I mean, that interview process was insane. They have like therapists talking. They want to make sure that you're not going to hurt someone or kill yourself on that island, right? Oh. So it was like long, and they got to the very end, and then at the very end, they're like, "Can you do that thing that like you remember when Chris Rock paid like $1 million to like delete him throwing the shit? I'm probably fucking him up right now, but you remember he threw like one of the worst first what do you call it?
A pitch?
A pitch. He threw one of the worst ones, and then now you can't find it anywhere.
Really?
I'm sure Jamie could find it.
Is that real?
I had heard. I don't know if it's true, but
no one was worse than Anthony Fauci. Did you see his pitch?
I'm sure it was like it was like
it was hilarious. I mean, it didn't even come close to where it was supposed to go.
Yeah, and it's oh, that's Sam. Okay. Oh yeah, did you see that, Chris? Did you see how bad that? I'm like laughing at him. I'm like, yeah. All right, so I guess you can still find it.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah.
So, fuck. Why did I even bring that up? Oh yeah. So they asked me. They go, you're gonna be on Survivor, but can you do that thing that the celebrities do and pay like $1 million to like basically delete your entire imprint on the internet? And I was like, what? And they're like, there's so much of your life that is just like not appropriate for, like. And I was like, and you know, I sat there and I was like, it's enough. Like it's enough that I almost like, I know myself. I'm like, I would have won. I would have fucking won Survivor. I know myself. I know that sounds cocky, but like
But Survivor's it's entirely dependent upon someone voting for you.
I know, but I as this is the setup, right? Like as someone, people are like, oh, how'd you get into acting? I'm like, I've been a gaslighter, lying, con man, thief, like sneaky dude, like half my life. Like I'm set up for this. Like you need to be.
Yeah, but there's other people like you out there. That's why I'm always fascinated by someone who thinks they're definitely going to win.
Well, look, I only have my track record. Like I'm like, I could have tons of power.
Listen, I'm sure you have a ton of confidence, and I'm sure you believe that wholeheartedly that you're going to win. But there's other David Cho's out there. Maybe not you exactly, but the same kind of motherfucker.
I'm sure.
And if you got on a show with one of those guys, you'd be like, God damn it.
Well, one of the things that's like the biggest benefit of meditation for me these days is like it's that driving thing of it's not enough. Like, oh, I did this, now I got to do this. It's like I'm enough. So like, and I'm speaking my inner thoughts, so I'm sorry how cringy it sounds, but like there's nothing I can't have, right? So I drive and I go, look at that insane house. I'm like, I could buy that. Look at that woman. I'm like, I could get her. Like, look at, and so just that, like, there's nothing physical or experience that I can't have. Like, I can have it. That's why I keep telling you that my last battle is the spiritual one. And so that's why I fly coach. That's why I sit, like, that's why, like, I just do normal shit that, like, could I fly private everywhere? Could I stay at the nicest hotels and nicest gyms and everything and just kind of be like, that's them and this is, you know, I waited an hour at Terry Black's. I'm sure, like, I could have, like, called you and got to the front, you know, like, I'm just at peace with myself. So the fact that I could have been on Survivor was enough for me. And I didn't want to be away from my family for that long anyways.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine wanting to do one of those shows.
I just love any show that's competitive that pushes you to your limit.
I'm sure it's fun.
You know?
I'm sure it's fun. The time commitment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I get voted off right away, it's like fine. But if you're all the way to the end, that's 90 days, I think.
I could see someone like you wanting to do it just for the experience, though.
I mean, that's
just because it's a wild, crazy thing to do.
Right, and that's why I would have done it, because I've been a Survivor fan my whole life, and you know.
That show, is that the longest running reality game show? It has to be. It has to be, unless you count like
The Bachelor,
other game shows, like regular game shows. It's got to be the longest running reality game show, right? I mean, that shit was on before Fear Factor.
It says it's one of. I wonder what's longer.
There's a longer one?
43 seasons in 23 years.
I mean, I would have killed that Fear Factor. I would have ate the dick, the butthole, everything. There's
that part's not that hard.
The
physical stuff is hard.
The physical stuff would have been hard for me.
It's hard for everybody. Because it's like some
all
of
right,
them.
Fear Factor, just the food, I would have killed.
Just the food. We had one where they had to hang onto a bar over like a lake.
Yeah.
So they're hanging underneath this bridge.
Yeah. Oh,
and
I saw that one.
Women can hang way longer than men can. A lot of women.
Wow.
Yeah, because there's not as much
You
body
mean emotionally
weight.
or physically?
But probably both. But
yeah,
when
they hang on
onto
to like
these
really shitty
bars,
relationships for
they
a long
don't
time.
have all the weight. So
Yeah.
if you're carrying 200 pounds, but she's only carrying 120 pounds, that 80 pounds makes a big difference with your hands.
I would have lost on that part and then won on the baboon dick part. So I said no to Survivor Beyond the Edge, whatever that show was called, and now I was in like pretty good shape because of the abusive Russian trainer I had, and now I'm like.
You still got that trainer?
No, I
couldn't take it anymore.
It wasn't that well. I want community, like I want to have fun.
Right.
Right? Like it's like I've never gotten runner's high. The only time I have fun is like when I'm playing basketball or football or soccer at 5:30 in the morning with the mist with my friends.
Yeah.
And then we can go for 2-3 hours and like I'm sweating, I had a great workout and it was fun. Like
Dave, I'm gonna pee, and when I come back, I'm gonna talk you into doing jujitsu. We'll be right back.
Okay. Oh wow.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Headphones changes it, right?
Yeah.
Locks you in.
Holy shit.
It locks you in. You hear it how other people hear it.
Damn.
You would love it.
Sexy voice.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, man.
You would love jiu-jitsu. You're a super competitive guy, and it's an exciting, fun thing, and it's an athletic thing. You just do it with the right people, get the right trainer, get the right group of guys. There's a lot of really good gyms where they really take care of people that are beginners and show them how to do it right. And
I could trip anybody.
Trip them? You're good
Yeah.
at tripping?
I
Judo?
Yeah, my dad made me take judo, and there's a if you know the history, there's a little bit of animosity there could be between Japanese and Koreans, and my dad set me up on a full like Japanese judo dojo in Sawtell in Los Angeles. Wow. And they did not take it easy on me, and it's like I'm kind of like I think a lot of people are like this, like with whatever profession they're in. They learn one move really good and then they milk the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And I can fucking trip the shit out of anybody. And I was so good at it, and I added my twist to it that it gave me like this insane cockiness where I thought I could beat the shit out of anyone. But I'm like, what do you do after the trip? Oh shit, I don't know. And so I got my ass kicked a lot.
From tripping people?
Well, I mean, during a fight, that would be my move, and I didn't have any other moves after that.
It's a great move if you know how to.
I'm gonna trip the shit
add
out of
other
people.
stuff to it.
Yeah.
That's Sanchai, who's like one, if not the greatest, one of the greatest Muay Thai fighters of all time. He's a master at tripping people.
But you got to be wearing clothes. That's the other thing.
Oh,
I
to
can't
grab.
Yeah, I can't trip like shirtless dudes.
Oh, okay. That makes big difference. That's a problem.
Yeah.
You gotta learn some underhooks and overhooks. The problem with that was an issue in the beginning days of the UFC when a lot of guys went no gi.
Yeah.
When they went to the ground game, they were so limited because they were so accustomed to grabbing collars and grabbing pants legs and grabbing sleeves.
All right, if I'm doing this shit in LA, where should I go?
No gi for sure. 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. I get you set up.
Okay.
If you want to do it in LA, 100%. If you want to do the gi,
What part of town is that?
it's downtown.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, it's downtown.
Okay.
That's where the headquarters is. There's like 100 and how many 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsus are there? I want to say there's like at least 100 affiliates all over the world.
It's like black belt. Like it's like
oh
that.
yeah, oh yeah.
Are you a black belt?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. That's where I started. I have actually named it. 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu is my idea.
That's yours?
Yeah, it was
What does
my
that
idea.
mean?
Because we were talking about it was me and Eddie Bravo, and Eddie was, you know, he just gotten back from tapping out Royler Gracie in
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi, and you know, Eddie's the best guy ever. He's my best friend. He was when we went to Abu Dhabi and he tapped out Royler Gracie. It was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my life. And he came back from that. Jean-Jacques Machado gave him his black belt off of his waist. Jean-Jacques took his
I
black
saw
belt
that
on
video.
and put it on Eddie. And then Eddie started this 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. And the idea behind it was because in MMA, you don't have the gi. So use overhooks and underhooks, and a lot of it was derived from what he learned from Jean-Jacques Machado, who was actually born with only one hand. Jean-Jacques only has a thumb on his left hand.
Oh,
so
shit.
his jiu-jitsu couldn't be all grip-based. It had to be underhooks and overhooks. So he transitioned very easily to Abu Dhabi, and he wound up winning. Abu Dhabi's the biggest no-gi competition in the world. He wound up winning it and smoking people. It was incredible to watch. So Eddie comes back, and Eddie decides to start this jiu-jitsu gym, and we're joking around about all the different names. We're probably high as fuck. I imagine we were high as fuck. And I said, why don't you just call it 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu? Because it's like we were into Zechariah Sitchin back then. You know who Zechariah Sitchin
The
is?
sci-fi guy?
No, Zechariah Sitchin was this guy who wrote these books about a planet called Nibiru. And he was a guy who supposedly, and I'm not 100%
I like
buying
this
into
shit.
this, but it's fun.
I like this shit.
He had transcribed the Sumerian text, and he believed that the history of the people from Sumer, what they were trying to relay was that human beings were the product of accelerated evolution, and that beings from a planet called Nibiru, that's on a 3,600-year-old, 3,600-year elliptical course towards the Earth. I've been told this is nonsense, by people who are cosmologists.
Okay.
Which another thing is nonsense. What I said the other day with talking to Andrew Schultz, that the moon doesn't spin. So because we only see one side of the moon, we do only see one side of the moon, but it just spins perfectly with us, so that we only see. Is that right?
You said it was tidal locked or something, or that's maybe what I was.
Hey, I'm in. I love nonsense.
But I definitely was wrong. Like it does spin, right? Rotate. People don't like the term spin. Someone was trying to explain this to me.
I like spin class.
Yes.
That it rotates at the exact same rate we do, so that we always see the same side. Is that
Time
why
it takes for the moon to rotate once on its axis is equal to the time it takes for the moon to orbit once around the Earth. This keeps the same side of the moon facing towards the Earth
That's it.
throughout the month.
So sorry for my misinformation, folks. I kind of said it after I said it. I was like, I think this is off, and then, yeah.
Hey,
This Zechariah Sitchin thing. So
Yeah.
anyway, this was Zechariah Sitchin. He wrote these books called I think it was The 12th Planet was one of them, and it was all about these ancient Sumerians. And one of the weirdest things about it is like these people had these clay tablets that had like a detailed map of the solar system. I mean, 6,000 years ago, they carved it in clay. And they also had these giant beings with like people with tails sitting on their lap. And they had the double helix of the DNA. And he interpreted all this as this was some sort of an ancient recording, like where they were trying to record what had happened. And when he was going through these ancient Sumerian texts, he believes that it was really all about these beings called the Anunnaki. Those from heaven to earth came. And that these beings came from this planet that is described as Nibiru. And that they have manipulated human DNA forever. And
So
they
you
did it a long time
you
ago.
are into Star Wars.
Well, it's
I worship at the altar of nonsense. So everything you said to me right now,
so fun.
all in.
It's so
I'm all
fun.
in on it, dude.
It's
Like,
so fun because if it really is the case, first of all, We know that we would do that 100%.
Absolutely.
We would do that. We've done that to animals.
Right.
We've done all kinds of weird shit.
Of course.
Made hybrids and you know,
Yeah.
and of course if people were designing like they're making like life forms in petri dishes.
Dude,
Like, for sure we would do that.
I don't know how close or far we're with whatever all this gene splicing shit. I'm like, dude, if that's real, I'm like, give it to me. Lobster claws,
Let's
gorilla
go.
body, scorpion tail,
Everybody's gonna be the
tiger
Hulk.
face.
Everybody's gonna look like that guy from Prometheus. Remember the guy that dies in the alien movie Prometheus?
Don't you want like cheetah legs and like
yes.
fucking
I want wings, bitch.
marsupial pouch?
Where's my fucking wings? I want eagle wings. Me
bat
flying
wings?
Around.
I'll take bat sugar glider wings.
Right.
You know, webbed feet like Kevin Costner in Waterworld.
Waterworld.
I'm all in, dude. You believe in aliens?
Yes.
I accused you of being an alien last time, right?
Probably. I don't
All right.
remember.
All right, you want to hear my hot take on comedy right now?
Okay.
It's like,
What we're going all over the road.
yeah, sorry.
I like it.
So in the same way tonight, right? If you go home tonight and you do like a hardcore jerk off session to porn, you could watch more porn in 24 hours. I don't know how accurate this is, but it's pretty accurate, than all of your ancestors since the beginning of time, right?
Of course.
You can watch thousands of people fucking tonight, whereas before the internet, you
Yeah.
know. So in the same way, when I was passing around tapes of like Eddie Murphy, Raw, Delirious, like you could watch every comedy special in a week, from like the funniest guy in Dubai to the hottest guy in Hong Kong. You could like just download that shit, right? And I actually want to make a quick comment on style for comedians. Like, I always remember like what Martin Lawrence or Eddie Murphy was wearing, like leather suit, no shirt, because not to be disrespectful, but isn't the art of comedy or the act of comedy like you're a fool or you're a court jester or your job is to make it's funny, right? It's to make people laugh, and then you have these comedians going on stage dressing in suits or dressing like just in a hoodie, or I'm like, you're a fucking clown, dude. Dress ridiculous. Look like this.
But
like,
I don't-
entertain me.
I see what you're saying, but I don't think so. I think they should dress in any way that feels funny to them. Like if I've gone on stage in suits many times. It's fun. We get a kick out of it.
Really?
Yeah, there's a photo of us all in Vegas. We did the MGM, and I said, dude, we should go and get Rat Pack-like suits. Get some dope
All right.
fitted suits. And so had David August make everybody suits. We just decided it would look cool and
I mean,
to
but
have fun.
But imagine.
The difference is trying to be cool. What people interpret when you see someone who's dressed up really nice, or is wearing a lot of jewelry, or is like looks very flashy, they're trying to be cool.
You wouldn't have fun doing a stand-up set dressed like an alien?
No, no, it's too on the nose. But
All right.
some people are. That's how they like. That's how they feel good. They feel
Right.
good when they dress nice. They feel good
All
when they
right.
wear nice shoes. They feel good when they got a nice watch on. They feel good. So in feeling good, they'll go on stage. They'll perform better.
I'm like, this profession is like, it's a clown profession, so I kind of want the outfit to match the. All right,
Yeah, but if you go watch Eddie Murphy Delirious, I think he was probably wearing like a leather jumpsuit or something.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
You know, Richard Pryor live at the Sunset Strip. Well, he has a blazer and a nice shirt on. You know, it's like guys have like
Yeah.
look at that crazy
And that's-
outfit with his fucking his zipper all the way down to his belly button.
yeah. I was like 8 when I saw that, and
Oh
like
my
I still
God.
remember it. You know?
That was a classic, dude. I mean, people don't know that if Eddie Murphy kept going, there
Right.
would have been no doubt. There would have been no doubt who the greatest comedian ever was. If Eddie Murphy just stopped doing it. If you watch, like, Eddie Murphy was like a progression from, in many ways, like a progression from Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Like, here's the new young Richard Pryor
Yeah.
style of comedy. And he was so good, man. He was so fucking funny.
I'm glad he stopped. For
Yeah,
me,
the red outfit. Interesting, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he took so much from Pryor.
Well,
But
everybody did. Everybody did. Everybody took from Lenny Bruce. Everybody took from Pryor.
I like the theme of getting out while you're ahead, because you know there's always like Eddie's gonna be back and he's gonna kill. I'm like, he already killed. He destroyed, and he's a legend, and just let him stay that way. This thing where like,
why would you say that? This is why that's wrong. He's missing out on the chance to kill. You know, we were all hanging out in the green room the other night, and we were laughing. We were just laughing. We had a bunch of good, really fun shows. And we were all hanging out in the green room, and we were saying, like, imagine living your life and never killing on stage. Imagine living your whole life. I'm like, that would suck.
The stage just looks different because doesn't he have like 12 kids? Like,
yeah.
Don't you think he's like the funniest dad ever? Like,
for sure.
Like when he's making breakfast. And
no,
like,
listen, that too.
The fought man.
But you can do that too. You could always do that too. The difference is like that guy, we missed out on probably like the greatest talent that ever did stand-up. He stopped doing it. Like stand-up as an art form. If you go watch Delirious and then listen to his first album, which I think he was like 20 or something like that, something really young.
Yeah.
It's so good, dude.
So good.
He was just a fucking amazing talent. Amazing talent. And he just decided to stop doing it. So that's why I don't agree. Like, if that guy just decided to start doing it again now and just started fucking around, and people would let him walk on stage with notes. They would let him.
Right.
You could do whatever. If they knew you were just working out on stuff, people would let him do it.
Well,
he would get it again. Like, he did a speech once at, what was it again, for some award show? He did this speech where he did a Bill Cosby impression, talked about them taking Bill Cosby's awards away. Mark Twain Awards.
Mm-hmm.
It was fucking hilarious. It was like sharp. The timing was on. I was like, if that guy kept doing comedy, there would have been no doubt. He would have been #1 of all time. He was incredible.
As a fan of comedy and who's watched, like, because I have this access that everyone also has access to all these documentaries and comedies, and this isn't just isolated to comedy, it's to anything, right? Like, everyone who I know who's a music, like, when I heard One by Metallica, there's no YouTube video that shows you how to do double bass. You're like, what the fuck is you have to figure that out. But now everyone who's spent a lifetime crafting whatever their art is, they're giving it away in a TikTok, right?
Yeah.
So when Louis C.K. has a special, he goes on like 10 podcasts and talks about where the joke comes from, how he can, like how he, so it's like the magician revealing all the magic tricks. And part of that is great because like you're going to learn more now from YouTube than you are from like school or anything. But because all the great artists, all the great magicians are giving away their wizardry, like when they do the joke now, you don't, like the surprise is gone. You're like, oh, that's how he did. Like you saw how they made the sausage. So, and so as someone who loves comedy, this is how I feel. And look, there's always exceptions to the rule, but most comedy, I either feel like they're talking down to me or they're talking at me or they're trying to teach me or they're something like that. I'm like, funny, #1 priority, fun, like jokes, laugh. And it's like, let me teach you something. Let me show you what time it is. Let me this. And I'm like, there's so many podcasts that talk about the art of comedy, the behind the stage, behind the scenes. This is like this working out material. And like now it's just like a normal dude that didn't know any of that shit. There's too much shit. So when I'm like, I just want the joke to just be a joke. Like, what if I knew everything about how Eddie Murphy came up with the Raw act? He's like, oh, this happened. It's like, does it aid the comedy or does it make it like you're watching a TED Talk or something,
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on how funny it is. Like, there's people that I know, like Shane Gillis. I'll watch his set over and over and over again because I know it's funny.
Right.
I know where the jokes are. I still want to see him again and again. They're so funny.
Right.
It doesn't. I know how the sausage is made.
Right.
Like, it's not. No one's tricking me. I know what's going on. You're writing jokes and work, but it's when it's really well done. I just want to watch it over and over again. It's like I know how it's made, and I'm still laughing really hard. I know the lines. I'm still laughing because I'm in it.
Like you're laughing out loud?
Yes.
Fuck, dude.
I love comedy.
I
love watching it, man. I still enjoy. That's like a very important thing. It's like imagine becoming an artist, but not liking art anymore. You don't like other people's art. That would be ridiculous. But that happens to a lot of comedians. They become comedians and they stop loving stand-up comedy as just someone in the audience.
Shit, man, I think you just described me. There's like, I don't like most art. I don't like most of my art, but yeah, Yeah,
I mean,
man.
you could easily get like that with anything. You could
Yeah,
easily
like-
get like that with anything.
I get jaded with, like, I don't watch porn anymore, but I got so jaded with porn. I got jaded with music. I get jaded with, and then I end up going back to like the classics of stuff that is nostalgic or that or
Yeah.
whatever. So I, as a student of someone who's like, man, fucking life sucks. Let me laugh tonight. And I watch these things. I go, I could see, like, this is a hot take. No disrespect to Chris Rock, but like, I didn't even know Marlon Wayans was a stand-up comedian, and his take on the whole Will Smith thing was fucking hilarious. And Chris Rock's was like, I don't know, like, it just didn't do it. I was like, I could see what he's doing. It didn't land for me, and everything I saw on the internet was like, he just bodied Will Smith. He fucking killed him. And I'm like, did he? I don't know, man. And so my feeling, so like, I'm like, I know what I sound like, the bitter, jaded guy, like art sucks, comedy sucks, whatever. And so I did psychedelics recently, and like I said, I accused you of being an alien last time you were here. And I like the person that makes me laugh more than anybody is when I'm fucking on psychedelics, and whatever that spirit is that's talking is always like has the jokes. It has the jokes. And the last time, so this is a reoccurring topic. And once again, I gotta say, this is not like, this is just something I see in my vision quest, right? So I asked the alien last time, I go, are you real? Are aliens real? He's like, yeah, it's you, motherfucker. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you never wonder why Asians' dicks are so small? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, I go, what the fuck is your problem, dude? He goes, you know what we look like, right? I'm like, well, yeah, the big eyes, almond eyes like this, bluish gray, no dick, big head. Like, you know, like you've all seen that picture. It's like, you know what I look like, motherfucker. And I'm like, stop cussing at me, man. And he goes, we came down to Africa. We saw you fucking hairless little, you know, and we fucked a human, right?
This is what.
This is what it's showing me. It's
Okay,
like,
but it's not saying we fucked a human.
oh no,
right?
it has the filthiest mouth.
Really?
Like I'm dying. Like I'm on the this is what I look like. I'm like in like nature, like with a shaman, and I'm
Really?
yeah, I'm like dying, and the thing is like just because everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna have a spiritual experience, like, and it is spiritual, but it's a long trip, so it goes through like hell, heaven, jokes. And he goes, I came down to Earth and I fucked your great grandmother, and I don't have a dick because we don't fuck with genitals. We were mind fuckers. We use our mind. That's how we have sex. And so we're beyond that. And he goes, look in the mirror, bitch. And I go, what? You ever wonder why Koreans have such big heads and your eyes are a little bit like this and your dicks are a little bit smaller? Because we didn't have any dicks. Humans had dicks. We melted, and so you have little dicks. And he's like, you never ever thought about why you're blue? I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, you never wonder why you were born with a blue ass? And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Like I'm like on the floor tripping. So I don't know if you know this, a lot of Asians, and they call it the Genghis Khan birthmark. Do you know this?
No.
Okay, they call it, Jamie, look up like Asian blue birth. So a lot of Asians are born with a giant blue birthmark on their ass.
Really?
Yeah, and they say it's all the way back from something Genghis Khan did. Yeah, there it is.
Wow.
Yeah, look, go down.
Mystery
The
of
Mongolian blue spot.
Wow.
So I was born with a blue ass, Joe. I had a blue fucking ass, and
Dude, like Avatar?
dude, straight. I have a picture of my and this. some have a small one like this, and some of them have. I'm sure you could find bluer ones, but then after like less than a year, it just disappears. So it's called the Mongolian birthmark, and I had forgot about it till the alien was talking to me.
That's amazing.
And yeah, there it is. See, mine looked more like that. Wow. So I was born with a blue ass.
And so they know specifically from genetics that this goes back to the Mongol days?
Well, I'm telling you who gave me the answer. The altar that I worship at. Nonsense. So the alien goes, you think you just had a blue ass out of nowhere? You're a fucking alien, bitch. And I'm like, what? And he goes, I gave you just enough dick to like, you know, like you don't need a giant dick. It's good. You think you want a giant dick. It's going to get in the way. I gave you a perfect dick. You fuck people with your mind and you're not yellow. You're fucking blue. And I was like, whoa. Oh, it's not a Mongolian birthmark? He's like, you're fucking alien birthmark. And I was like, you know, I'm drooling. I'm like, and look, I did a horrible job. His delivery is way more vulgar. It sounds more like Eddie Murphy in his prime. He's like cussing, and I'm like, I don't know. It's like in my mind, I'm like, this is not what I was expecting out of this spiritual journey. So, yeah, I mean, it was. You never heard of the Mongolian birthmark? I don't know the exact story, but it's something with like Genghis Khan or someone did so much fucking that
Genghis Khan apparently did a lot of fucking.
Yeah, like
there's some large percentage of the population
that did something to make that birthmark, but it was clarified to me by that wouldn't really happen.
So that is actually that story. Okay, one Mongolian spot is present on over 90% of Native Americans and people of African descent, over 80% of Asians, over 70% of Hispanics, and just under 10% of fair-skinned infants. Huh.
You didn't have a blue ass?
I don't think so. Nobody told me. Maybe they just kept it from me.
My kids had blue asses. Yeah, some Mexicans
That story he's saying is in your psychedelic trip is literally the same story that's in the Sumerian text.
That's why when you say, wait, in the Sumerian text they say Asians are spawns of
no,
or humans. Oh,
that what happened was these advanced beings came down and they manipulated our DNA and added their DNA. But by the way, I have to say this: this is this guy Zecharia Sitchin, and he's very controversial. He's like a legit scholar, rock solid credentials, but he's also like very controversial. Like I think there's a whole website called sitchiniswrong.com.
Joe, you're talking to some. If that's for your audience, I already believe you're an alien, so you don't need to. Like,
no, I'm just clarifying to people that this is not like I think this theory is fun as fuck and I love it, but I don't know if it's true.
Like people ask me, like I think one of the most taboo things to talk about today is like you could talk about fucking or drug. You know, you could talk about anything, but when anyone goes, hey, where's your spirituality at? Or what? It's like a conversation stopper, right?
Well, you know why? Because anybody who asks it like that is annoying.
But like,
where's your spirituality at right now, David? David, that's like
that's in my blue asshole.
Someone's
right now.
henpecking you.
But like,
what are you doing, David?
But like, I've never asked you that. Like, what is your thoughts on God? I did it. I went there. Like,
well, considering we're having a podcast, it's very different than someone just bringing it out of nowhere. I am not an atheist. I've never been an atheist. I've never been someone who says, I know there is no God.
Right.
What I have been someone who has said that a lot of the stories that are in a lot of the religions clearly have the hand of man on them. There's clearly some description that implies things that are okay to do because of the cultural values of people that lived 3,000, 4,000 years ago, whenever they wrote this stuff. Clearly. It condones slavery. It treats women as second-class citizens. There's a lot in these words that clearly have the hand of man. But there's also some inherent deep wisdom and a moral scaffolding that would make the world a better place. And almost all of them. There's something there that gives people structure and discipline and connects them in a community of like-minded people who believe the same thing. I think there's a great value to that that's underappreciated by people who call themselves atheists. I think there's also a great value in if you truly believe you're living your life and you're going to be a good person, you're going to go to heaven, you will have that energy through your life. You will be carrying the belief, and it will actually aid you in your life. And that if you think this is pointless, it's all just existential angst and it's all chaos, like you live better if you believe that this is all for a better purpose and this is all a part of a God's plan. That might be true. It might not be true. But you live better if you think that way. You can do that and still look at facts and reality, and you don't have to be ideologically captured by some writing that was written down thousands of years ago.
Right.
But you are better off if you believe that this is all for a greater good.
Love.
Love. Yeah, and that's
Love.
probably what God really is.
God is love.
And love, what love is at its most pure is a force of creation, a force of like adhesion and bonding of human beings. And we know the opposite. The opposite is what's happening right now in Ukraine. That's the opposite. The opposite is...
That's hate.
Yeah, that's murder. And fucking whole-scale murder. It's wild chaos. I mean, war is hell. It's the worst thing. The worst thing that people do. And that exists at the same time on Earth with some of the best people enjoying some of the best times together. While you are with your family and you are with your friends and people come over your house and you have dinner and you're laughing and having a good time, on some part of the world, someone's drinking out of a puddle. You know?
Yeah.
In some part of the world, someone's in an apartment building that just got hit by a missile.
Yeah.
You know, it's all happening simultaneously, but we only have the ability to understand what's happening to us. And we kind of think these things, we know these things are out there because we watch TV and we watch the news, but we don't believe it. It's like, it's not even like there's people that are calling for like war in Ukraine. Like, you don't even know what you're saying. Like, you don't even know what that feeling is. If you knew, that would be the last thing you would ever want to happen.
I fucking love you, man. Like, I love you.
I love you too.
And you too, Jamie, you fucker. Like, I'm not going to leave you out of this. And wow. Like, part of the thing, I love what you just said right now. And part of, like, the way I pray is creativity. Like, when I make something, that's how I interpret prayer. And what you talked about is, like, this belief. It's faith, right?
Yeah.
So, and part of why a lot of things I've done in my life, people have accused me of being suicidal, right? They're like, why are you going into MS-13 territory? Why are you going to the Congo? Why are you going to Bosnia? Why are you going to places that are in conflict? And part of that is like, I like it when it hurts. And it's just like, I'm attracted towards darkness, or I was. And part of that is just, I don't believe. Like, I watch the news, I watch something, and someone tells me, I've been to every state in America, right? Like, most Americans haven't done that. And is there unrest? Is there racism? Yes, there is. But when you try to say everything, like try to make it binary and everything in like black or white, like, I've had an amazing time in Texas so far, right? And all these places that are considered racist, yeah, I've experienced that also. But even when I go to like Atlanta at a black mall, I went to the wrong mall, and everyone's yelling shit to me. If I could find one kid and be like, hey, why are you calling me that shit? And then I bond with him, in that moment, I'm just with him. I've used love. And he didn't run away from me. Like, him and all of his friends were doing this. They were like, and I was like, this is like 20 years ago. And I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. And they were yelling. They're literally yelling. You came to the wrong mall, bro. Wrong, you know? And I was like, oh, shit. And I felt threatened. I felt like, oh, shit, like something's about to happen. And this is 1999 or something, you know? And so, I, you know, because of the institutions or rehabs I've been into, you've heard about sexual abuse, physical abuse. You've heard of those abuses. I had never heard the word sexual abuse or religious abuse. And I'm like, it's disproportionately a lot of Orthodox Catholics, Orthodox Jews, hardcore Muslims, hardcore Christians, hardcore Mormons. Like, it's just that like organized, like, you have to be like this or else you're bad, creates so much shame. And I'm like, fuck God, fuck religion, fuck all. But that's like, now I've gone the other side towards hate. And I'm like, I'm a loving person. Like, I was telling you, like, it's not an accident that you're like the biggest podcast in the world. You're such a sweet, loving, you don't like get involved with all this other bullshit podcast drama that all of these other, like, you're just loving. You're love. You're lovable. You are love. And so I always go, I tend to be a hater. That I'm always pushed to like talk shit or be bitter and fuck everything sucks. And I need love to drag me back. And so part of that is, you know, this is part of 12-step stuff like higher power and whatever, is we like having a team, right? I'm a Christian. Our symbol is this. I have a star. Ours has 20 arms and swords. Like everyone wants to have a logo and a T-shirt. And my church is this. Ours are round. Ours are like Gothic. You know, and that's good, right? It's good to have that. But I was so jaded and I was so bitter. And the guy that was helping me through all my darkness was like, kind of don't care. I kind of don't care if you believe in God or not. It's just like a fake it till you make it. He's like, I just want you to believe and have the faith. Whether you believe it or not is irrelevant. I was like, what? He's like, it's just weird talking to you because no one believed you'd be the wealthiest artist in the world except for you. That's insane amount of faith that got you there. No one thought you would do this in your life. No one thought, and you were the only one, maybe your mom, but because you believed it, it happened. So it doesn't matter if 10th Planet is ludicrous or the science, like even science is a religion. How many times has science been wrong, right?
Well, science is data.
Right.
It's scientists and their interpretations. It's incorrect or biased. That's the problem. And calling it the science when people say that, trust the science.
Right, and the scientist is the priest.
Process. It's a scientific process.
So I subscribe to what you said of like, that's, you know, sorry to sound like a douche again, but that's where I find my spirituality is like community. It's what they call, I just learned this, third space, right? Like first space and second space is like your house is like first space, I think. Second space is like work, where you work, and then third space is what people need to like be social, like whether that's a cafe, church, the gym, and third space is the internet now, right? That's just where everyone congregates. And like I do all these limitations on my phone and technology, so it keeps me off social media, it keeps me off all these things. I have a child safe, like, you know, that's because of my addictive nature, but that's where people are, so that's where I have to meet them. So, yeah, the way, and you know, I'm still searching, like I'm not perfect, obviously, but I try to do, anytime something happens and I feel myself going to the dark side, fuck this motherfucker, this whatever, is like, how can I meet you with love? And then I feel better. It's selfishly, I feel better. Yeah, it's
exactly.
like,
that's very important.
Because so much of Korean identity is revenge, right? If you watch Old Boy or any Korean show on Netflix, it's all about, you tripped me when I was 5 and now I've spent my entire life figuring it out, you know, right?
Right.
And so to bring it back to the acting thing, I get this role, right? I play this asshole, like kind of lovable asshole. I just added that. And then I show up to the set, and again, I write like a short story back page, like thing. I'm doing improv. I have all these, and they're like, Dave, can you just do the lines so that other people can go home? Like, no one's asking you to write another, like, and I'm like, I don't know how to not do that, right? So my character is always yelling at my cousin.
Doesn't someone know you that works with them that could like talk and go, hey, you got to let Dave know that you can't invent any new stuff and put it in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was having, like, in the same way that as a comic book fan, like, I feel like I'm, like, Aquaman's a douchebag. The Guardians of the Galaxy are like D-list $4 bin. The fact that we live in a world now that like Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Iron Man's like the worst. No one reads Iron Man. Like these are like.
I used to read Iron Man.
You bought issues of Iron Man.
Yes.
So you know the whole Tony Stark.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're a unique person.
No.
Dude,
it was
if you're
very popular.
If you're,
Iron Man was super popular when I was a kid.
You're a little bit older than me, but like. Most kids, it was Batman, X-Men, Superman, like
but Iron Man was the shit, dude. Iron Man was very popular. The Hulk was very popular.
I love the Hulk.
Spider-Man was very popular. I was a Marvel guy. I really didn't get into DC Comics that much.
Fucking love all of it. I love all that shit. But
I just never followed them. It's not that I don't like them. I never followed them. But
Marvel had
Marvel
had a better buy-in. Like the awkward teenager that gets the super, you know, like.
Yeah.
Like, not that many people are born billionaires that become bad. You know, like
I think DC was more like, I know they're all really old, right? But I think DC, it reminds me of like a different, like a World War II mentality or something. Like the origin stories for these people.
Yeah.
It was more clunky. Came from another planet. You know, like shut the fuck up.
Hulk's a normal dude.
Right.
And
Normal
like,
scientist.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Right.
Everyone could buy in
Yeah.
on that, right? Like,
Everybody loves
I'm just a nerd, but don't push me.
This guy
right?
gets bit by a radioactive spider.
I'm a nerdy teenager.
His uncle who took care of him gets killed because he callously lets these bad guys run past him.
And nobody knows this, but he could actually shoot the webs out of his dick and
I didn't know
his
that.
asshole. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that's where spiders shoot webs out of, right?
The web thing is so ridiculous. Like, he invented this shit that's better than anything anyone's ever figured out ever. Like, he could be a fucking super billionaire just from that web.
Right, exactly.
The idea that we buy into the fact that this fucking college kid invented this stuff that shoots from his wrist in a never-ending supply.
He's shooting
and allows
these
him to
thick-
grab buildings and swing.
He's shooting these thick ropes out of his wrists, and I'm like, bro, if I would buy all that shit, you know, like, and just.
But where's it coming from? Where's all that shit coming from? That's the problem. There's no storage tank on him. He's
Right.
just shooting these webs, and they're just flying off of him from what? Are you making that stuff?
Well, the easy,
Like, what is that?
The easy thing is always like, he's a genius, the smartest guy on the planet, you know.
But if he only invented the web, that guy could invent anything. He could make antimatter devices.
My point.
He's that smart.
My point was, the shittiest comics that I didn't read are these billion-dollar, like Ant-Man. Who the fuck ever read Ant-Man, you know? So in that same kind of feeling,
It's just a run out of like superhero like narratives.
yeah, that might be true.
I think it is. And you know what else? I hate to say this. I gotta pee again.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
Sorry.
go do it.
I'm
Go
super
do it.
hydrated.
Go do it, man.
So yeah,
I just found Jamie's was
Red Iron
Morbius.
Morbius was cool. I used to like Blade. Blade was my favorite.
Oh, Blade's the best.
Blade was the shit. He had teak knives. There were knives made out of teak wood so he could kill vampires.
He came out of his mom and just fucking killed her. Like,
He was a bad motherfucker.
Blade was dope, and Wesley Snipes is.
That movie, the beginning scene of that movie where Tracy Lords leads that guy into the middle of this disco and all these vampires are dancing
The
and he
blood
doesn't know
disco?
they're vampires.
Yeah.
And then the blood starts spraying.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking amazing scene. It's one of the best scenes in any horror movie ever. It's so cool too. And just the imagery when this guy goes through this and he starts recognizing that it looks like these are human bodies that are hanging from there.
I love that you knew that.
Oh my God.
Tracy
I fucking,
Lords. Like,
yeah.
You know all the act.
Yeah, this was an amazing scene. And then Blade shows up and kills all the vampires. It's fucking incredible, man. It's such a good scene. Like, to this day, I mean, even if I don't watch the whole movie, I'll throw this scene on. Because it's when the guy realizes that there's blood coming out
Yeah.
of the ceiling and then he looks up
There we
and
go.
he sees the faucet
Bloodbath.
and it just starts spraying. And the way it's shot is like almost like stop action because whoever the director was, they did an amazing job of like setting it up where it's like the chaos of the moment, it's expressed in the way he filmed it.
Yeah.
Like for the guy who's getting sprayed with blood, surrounded by vampires and freaking out, like everything's chaotic. He's seeing them dance around their fangs,
That's
and
a lot
they're all
of-
looking at him.
That's a lot of blood. That's a lot of the cherry juice or whatever they use.
Yeah, whatever the
Syrup.
fuck they use. Everybody's covered, and so he's trying to get out of there. They're beating the fuck out of him,
Yeah.
and after they beat the fuck out of him, Blade shows up.
Yeah, Disney owns Marvel.
they're
now.
ready to kill him.
I don't think they're gonna make something this blood drenched for kids.
I wonder if they're done now with this. There's a new Blade that's coming out.
Yeah, I heard.
Right? I wonder if it's gonna be like this though.
Hire me as the writer and it'll be good. I mean,
This fucking scene's amazing, though. This is the first time you see Blade. They're all freaking out. The Daywalker. And they all freak out as soon as they see him.
there
This
he is.
fucking scene's amazing, man.
Oh,
it is. Oh, you teased me. Bitch.
But I just talking about this, when I'm like reflecting on like what I like, my superheroes are the Hulk, Spider-Man, like you did something to me and now you're gonna fucking learn what time it is. Like,
Right.
like in yours, you tend more towards werewolves, blood, vampire. No, like you like the monsters, right?
I do.
You're more of
Yeah.
a monster guy. But yeah, my point with all of it was just the fact that as a like I'm a super nerd. Like I fucking buy original comic art. Like as someone like that, it's kind of surreal to be in a world where these like someone's mom knows who Tony Stark is, right? Like only nerds would know that, right?
Right, back in the day.
So
Yeah.
I'm having a very similar feeling on set because I've done artwork or I've been on movie sets before, and I've never been in a scenario where 95% of Beef, the Netflix show I did, the cast is Asian. So like at the height of my gambling, right? When I'm being flown to Macau, when I'm flying and taking every like penthouse suite in Vegas, that was a surreal, like, here's a bus full of hookers. Here's every drug you want, even though you don't do drugs. Here's like, everyone's calling me Sir, Mr. Cho. Like, that doesn't happen anywhere else in my life except for there. And then I arrive on set and like, there's a giant Netflix fruit basket. And like, I open my water, take a sip, and then like a white guy comes and goes, "Let me get you a fresh water, sir." And I'm like, "Dude, it's cool, bro." And I'm like, "Oh, this is why Hollywood people are fucked up, because this is not natural.
Right.
This is fucking weird, dude. Like
Yes.
people are licking my like, and like I like it. I'm like, this feels good, but I'm
glad you said that.
Well, the thing I said before about like Asians, I've only seen them as kung fu masters or waiters or nerds. I'm like, oh, I get to play like a real person, and I don't have to like code switch, or I don't have to pretend to be this kind of Asian or that. Like I'm just me.
Right, but the weirdness is the way they treat the stars.
Oh, dude, I'm like,
it's bizarre.
I was like, bro, I'll get my own food. You know, like I get to my room and they're like, and it's like if acting or Hollywood is a religion or a cult, like it's just everyone there is buying in, right? Like the lighting guy wants to be.
Well, that's
like,
if you're an atheist and you're really into acting,
right.
you know, there's certain people that are your gods. They're your
Right.
deities.
So yeah, I went as someone who, look, I don't know how you perceive me, but I perceive myself over the last, all the spiritual work, all the work I've been doing, all the insane fucking rehabs and mental institutions. I'm a fucking chill dude. That's how I feel. But that wasn't my role for this character. I had to go back to old 19.
Old Dave.
Yeah. And so now I'm with my family at a deli getting a Reuben, and, you know, my wife's like, that was a very aggressive Reuben order. You know, like, I'm like, over here, like, and I kind of don't like how I feel. And I'm like, you know, I'm talking to Allie, I'm talking to Steve. I'm like, I don't know how you guys do this and not lose your mind. And they're like, Dave, you don't have to go method. And I go, I don't know how to not do that. Like, I don't have that button.
So you're doing meth. So you're ordering food in character.
I wasn't trying to. It just was, they called it leaking. I was leaking like fucking crazy.
Oh, okay.
Like I was like that guy, because I'm like,
yeah, don't do that.
and the thing is, like, if you're like, I act all day with my kid, right? I'm playing, and then it's fun. It's the objective is fun. But if I'm waving a gun at someone's face and I'm like, fuck you, and like Ali Wong's my friend, I don't want to fucking yell at my friend. And the guy says, cut again, fuck you, cut, fuck you, cut. At the end of the day, like, I've just been screaming fuck you, waving a gun, and like, maybe if I grew up as an actor, but like I go, that doesn't feel good. Like that doesn't feel good to me. And so I like kind of like lost my mind playing this character. And so I checked myself into a mental hospital for a week.
Oh my God, Dave.
I was like, why not? I called this place that I used to go to. Like,
So playing this character, like,
I lost my fucking
hit
mind.
A switch in your
I lost
brain
my
or
mind.
something? Really?
Yeah, I lost my mind. And then I went to the Mississippi. I go there all the time. And
Can I talk to you about
Yes.
this?
Yes.
Just the path of the mind, right? How flexible is the idea of losing your mind? Like, is it when you're at a good state of mind? You're in a good state of mind, and something comes along. Like, how flexible is your mentality? Does it immediately go into this new groove? Like, if you decide you're going to be in character, you're going to play this asshole, does that become you? Like, and how much of who we are or who we assume we are is just a program that we're running so that the weirdness of life doesn't give us unbearable anxiety. So we're running a program, and that program is most of your past thoughts and experiences and the things you've learned and done, and then interface that with the rest of the world. But if you decide, because you're playing a role, that you're a fucking asshole, like, I wonder how much of what we are is choices where for you it was just acting because you wanted to be an asshole for a movie, but for other people, like, how much of who you are is because of the way people behave around you, and how vulnerable are we to other people's behavior and thinking. And just like, let's go back to the Hadza where you were talking about these people all eating those brains. For them, that is completely normal.
Yeah.
It's completely normal.
It's a highlight.
So it doesn't, right. So it doesn't feel bizarre at all.
Yeah.
For you, culturally, you've never experienced this before. You're there and it's wild. You're like, holy shit, this is crazy to see. That all of it's crazy to see. But isn't that seems to be the fucking case with everything. I think the human mind, like what we accept and what becomes normal to us, I think it's very malleable, really malleable.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. And as someone, if you're a really good human or artist that you have walls down and you're like like a conduit, then things affect you. If I'm like jaded and my walls are like this, then I could watch a snuff film or like have the worst shit happen and it's just like whatever. I could see a guy dying on the street.
Yeah, but don't you think if you had that way of thinking, you couldn't be creative? It's almost like that way of thinking, like you're putting up a barrier to sensitivity, which is like so important for any kind of art. You have to be sensitive.
Well, look, part of existing for me, like people, when I think of like how people are sensitive to racism right now, right? Like and they're like, I can't believe they made a racist joke or whatever. And I'm like, I grew up in the 80s, the 70s, and the coolest kid at school would be like, David Chow, how do you say your name? Chow Ching Chong? And guess what I would do? If it was like a Disney movie, I would like stand up, hey, you can't talk to me. That's not what happened. I laughed. I was like, I don't know what to do in this moment, and I don't want to like go against everyone else is laughing, so I guess I'll just laugh. Yeah, and I'll just laugh. So I'm like laughing at a racist joke in the 80s against me because that's the mask or whatever. And I think what you're asking, it depends how open you are, how sensitive you are to other people's energies, and also just quite frankly, if you're an addict or not, if you have that addict.
But you become another person while playing a person. Like this is a narrative in movies where a pandemic hits and then a person becomes a savage.
Right.
Right? Like that is in The Last of Us.
Right.
That the gentleman Pascal, what is his name?
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal. Amazing in that show.
Yeah.
But that's the role. He was a normal guy.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you know, spoiler alert, he's not a normal guy by the end of the show.
Right.
That human beings can become other things.
Very quickly. Very quickly.
That's what's so weird about
I mean, you
behavior.
you were like, were you in LA when the pandemic started?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like you go from normal to about to kill someone over toilet paper.
Yeah.
That what was that? A week into the pandemic?
It wasn't very long.
Yeah,
and there was no real disruptions. No real disruptions. Disruptions to work. But what I'm saying is like food was available.
Right.
And the power was on. And
right.
you know what got crazy during that time was even under the best case scenario of a total disruption of the country, because the best case scenario would be it's not for a war. It's not, you know, like. The power doesn't go out. Like there's a lot of scenarios that you could see way worse than what the pandemic was. But look at the fucking damage it did.
Right.
Look at the damage it did to people psychologically. Look at the damage it did to businesses, to small businesses. Look at the damage it did to information. Look at the damage it did to, you know, propaganda and the way people think about the news. I mean, look at the damage it did to the idea that the people that are running the country have a good sense of how to take care of things like this.
I mean, fear, real or imagined, is. I mean, there's a quote about it where like most of these things that you're scared of will almost never happen, right? So you live a life like wound up guns. You're like ready for the worst thing, and it'll never happen.
But that's before the pandemic.
Right.
See, there's people that were like that already.
Yes.
And then the pandemic came along and cracked them.
Yeah.
And there's a
I
lot
was
of
looking
folks
at
like
I was
that.
looking at tanks on Craigslist. I was like, I'm gonna buy a tank, dude.
There's a lot of people that
I
got
was looking
cracked.
I was looking at that helicopter where a tank could go into.
Oh,
I was looking on the websites for that.
Well, that's why we freak out at things like The Walking Dead, because we know that
Well, it's
if things go south, people will revert to their worst instincts quickly. When there's no internet and there's no way to share information and communicate that someone did this and this happened, and if there's no like you could take a film of someone murdering someone and then they could catch that guy from the news. I mean, that happens now, right?
Right.
But if you're in Walking Dead times, there's no power.
Right.
Right? So no one knows what the fuck is going on, and the only way people organize, they get together and they yell. Some guy yells at a group of people, and then they do barbaric shit. And this is what the nature of human beings has been for many thousands of years. That's
Yes.
why it's so easy for us to like snap back into us.
right. And culturally, there's a reason why we like superheroes, because we want someone to come save us.
Exactly.
Culturally, there's a reason why zombies are fucking so big right now, right? Zombies weren't this big back, you know? It's because when you see a new movie, new sci-fi, it's always post-apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic. It's on our minds. It's on
like,
our soul.
we're gonna fuck
yeah,
this up.
it's heading this
Yeah.
way, and it's look, as someone who was raised in the church, like the Apocalypse, Revelations is the shortest book in the Bible, so you go, oh, it's like just like 20 pages or whatever. What happens in those 20 pages like spans thousands of years. So a lot of people discuss that we're in that now, right?
Yeah.
So people go, oh, AI, like this and that, and you know, whatever. I'm sure you have way smarter people to talk about that. But I go back to that's one by Metallica. And if we can go back to early 2000s, that's Lars Ulrich from Metallica trying to sue, or all of Metallica trying to sue Sean Parker at Napster.
Yeah.
And it's like, genie's out of the bag, bro. Like, you can't control that. Like, that's...
I think they didn't have any idea what was coming, nor how could they.
And-
right?
and so
we
we're-
really thought that was just. It's so difficult to see where like one invention goes. If it
Exact-
was just Napster and that was
Right.
it for the end of time,
Right.
yeah, you could maybe control
but
that.
it's the thing that never loses, technology.
Yeah,
There's
never
no
loses.
stopping it, right?
Never loses.
And it's like, and so that's actually when the first time Sean Parker reached out to me, and he's like, bro, I want to get a painting from you, but I'm being sued for $1 trillion right now from like every single, and you know, whatever, they got out of that. But I'm saying the genie was out of the box, the Pandora's box, whatever. And so that was back then, right?
Right.
And now we live in an age where most kids don't pay. Like, if I wanted to listen to music, I had to take a risk and buy something at Tower Records, get a job, and then shit, man, the single was good and the rest of that, you know, like you had to risk. But now, because we have access to all the porn, all the documentaries, all the comedy, all the music, it's like, in that way, everyone's wealthy, right? Anybody can have access to anything, or find a way to steal it or have it with very low risk of getting caught, right?
Right.
And so people don't understand. We have what's out AI for the consumers, right? But some of the people we know, like, this shit is bonkers, dude. And I talked to Jamie about it. Like, you will never fucking be able to believe, like, I could come home and be like, AI, suck my dick. AI, I want to listen to Carpenters, but I want Ice-T to sing it. AI, my dad was like really shitty to me. Put him up, hologram, have him say all the apologies I wish he said, but he never said. AI, Ozarks, but all Asian, change the ending to The Sopranos, deep fake, like, that's coming.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
It's not perfect yet.
It's getting real close.
And so what does it do? It brings the temperature of the fear up, right? Like, a lot of my friends have lost their jobs. If I was still trying to sell art, I'd be fucking out of a job. Like, AI paints way better than I do. And so what did Metallica have to do? Tour, right? AC/DC, Stones, like 90 years old, still fucking touring. And so it's like what we were saying again. That's here now. You could sign papers and shit to try to make that go away. That's a fucking insane monster that's here now. And of course we would love it if it was best case scenario and it was here to aid humanity and do all that. But we've seen enough Terminators. Like, the things, it's a human that made that, right? So it's going to probably be really racist. It's probably going to be super sexist. It's probably going to be like psychopathic. It's probably going to, and so I could go to fear, I could go to hate, or I could go to acceptance, adapting, and our religion of love. And so whatever, like that's a gift. If you're like working at a job and you're like, wow, AI is a self-driving car now. I'm out of my truck driving job, or I've learned my whole life how to like edit sound, and now that's done. Like all that, it's almost like freeing you to be the whatever is coming next. And so whatever your version of touring is, right? Which is the third space again. It's human connection. Like you can't make, if forget Metallica, if you're like a new band, most people aren't buying CDs, tapes, records. So you have to sell merch. You have to go out. You have to perform. You have to meet people. You have to have connection. So whatever that version of that is for you as a human, no more like you're going to have to move away from technology and more to human connection. Okay. That's my belief on it, because it's fucking scary as shit. And I could choose to live in fear and be scared, or like people are losing their livelihoods that they spent their life on. Like,
that aspect of it is terrifying, because people aren't stable financially enough to deal with the entire industry going away.
I fired my lawyer. Like I asked ChatGPT, like my lawyer costs $600 every time I pick up the phone, and I was like, as a test, like, here's the questions. And, you know, I always got to do 10 minutes of small talk. I'm like, that's $100 right there. You know, I'm like, I don't care about your kids, dude. Just tell me what I want to know. So he gave me a very similar answer than the ChatGPT. I'm like, that's a phone call I'm never going to have to make again.
Wow.
Boom, done. The guy that does like, you know, but now that guy's free to pursue the next chapter of his life, you know, whatever.
If something's available, the problem is what, you know, people like Andrew Yang were worried about was this mass disruption of our economy, where automated things and things done through AI remove most jobs. And so we have this abundance of wealth that's available to things like the war in Ukraine and some other stuff. Like, we need to consider something like a universal basic income. Yeah. So, and it's not saying that just for people to never work, you don't have to work, we'll just give you money. That's not what it is. It's like you have to figure out a way to give people enough money to survive if everything goes away, because everything might go away. Right. That's where it's sketchy. And what's really sketchy is what we might be doing is making a new life form. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I think we're an electronic caterpillar that's going to become a butterfly. I think we're not going to be people anymore. And I think there's going to be a transitionary period where people are cyborgs and they integrate with technology, and it becomes mandatory because everybody does it, just like everybody has a smartphone. And then it's going to get to a point in time where they're going to be able to figure out how to either replicate consciousness or transport consciousness. Like, this is the Ray Kurzweil stuff. Ray Kurzweil believes that you're going to be able to download whatever consciousness is into some new form of, you know, whatever it is, quantum computing or something.
It's coming.
It may be coming. It may be coming. And this is what I think it does. I think it makes a better version of it, and that makes a better version of that. And I think it happens really quickly. And I think it basically becomes God. Right. I think it basically becomes a creative force of the universe. Right. If something just becomes infinitely more capable of manipulating its environment and change, right? Like a human being. What we have done, the most devastating thing we've ever done by far, is create atomic bombs, right? We've created a device that, if dropped upon a city, it vaporizes everything. It's the most fucking insane thing people have ever done. But we did it. And we can't put that genie back in the bottle.
Right, it exists.
That's a thing that exists. And if we could do that, what could something that is as far evolved past us as we are from lower primates? What if there's some new version of humans that's like a cyborg that integrates with technology, like integrates with some insane computer bank that has the ability to manipulate everything, manipulate gravity, create portals, travel through space instantaneously to grasp ideas that are beyond our comprehension right now. It's not, if you keep going 1,000 years, it's not like we're going to figure everything out and just be stuck. No, they're going to, each invention, each technological innovation will compound upon the other ones. And we're going to get to some place that's impossible for us to imagine today.
Oh, yeah.
Impossible.
Impossible.
Just like
Shit's about to get weird.
Yeah.
like fucking weird.
when we were kids, like there was a commercial that I just saw somebody put up on Twitter. It was hilarious. It was a device that people had back in the day where it was like Velcro on your phone, and you would slap this thing that's like a headset, and you would put it on so that you could talk on your home phone while you're like doing the dishes and shit. And I was like, they thought that was the shit. Like, it looks so dumb.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, my dad is old, but like sometimes I work with like older people, and like say you're 90 years old, right? So your life is candlelight, no electricity. Like if you're like almost 100 years old, that was your reality, right?
Yes.
You lived in a time pre-internet, pre-cars, horse and buggy, candlelight. And if you're still alive today, they're in that, like, there's a fucking world now where there's Postmates, Uber, fucking everything, like self-driving cars. Like, this world looks fucking insane to those people,
It
right?
looks fucking insane right now.
And so that's what...
That's the thing. This is the thing. Like the Velcro, she slaps it. Look at the headset. One size fits all. Look at this. Stays firmly in place. Look at this shit.
Oh, I gotta get that.
Bro, this is amazing. This guy's washing his slick 1984 car. 1993. Wow, look at that. 1993 is not that long ago.
Not
man.
that long ago,
Not that
man.
long ago. And that was like the
That looks
coolest
like-
shit that
yeah.
anybody figured out.
That looks like 70s or something.
Bro, I used to have a headset. I used to have a wireless phone, like a wireless phone that would clip to my belt with a belt buckle.
Like this big?
And then I had like a headset that was one of those office headsets that like a secretary would use. And I would walk around my house, talk on the phone. I thought I was the shit, bro.
Wow.
I got a headphone.
You were the
I
shit.
got my wireless phone is on my belt. I'm reading a book right now. I'm listening to a book, I should
Okay.
say. It's called Dissolving Illusions. It's all about disease. And it's about the early days of the 20th century and how horrific the conditions were in cities.
Right.
And how people lived in just filth. It's so sad, man.
Right.
And to hear about these children that were forced into labor at like 8 years old on coal mines. It's fucking horrendous.
That's why when
but
you-
a reminder
Yeah.
of what's possible.
Exactly. When you look at that and you
Yeah.
look at today, in a way, like if you live in like a modern city, like even a homeless guy is rich compared to
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, this
And-
book is. Let me give the author's name just
Yeah.
so people know. Hold on a second.
There it is.
You found? Oh, you got it. That's it. Yeah, Suzanne Humphreys, M.D. And how do you say this gentleman's name? Roman Bistriank.
not really sure.
Bistriank.
Bystranyk.
Bistrionic. Suzanne Humphreys, M.D. and Roman Bistrionic.
Bystranyk.
Yeah, so it's Dissolving Illusions, Disease, Vaccines, and the Forgotten History. And it's all just about, like, well, the beginning of it, where the part I'm at right now is just like a horrific
It's like you
diseases.
can't even, like
Just the conditions that people had to live in and that everyone lived in back then. It's just so disturbing. It's so disturbing because you realize that, like, these people were just poor and they were just stuffed into these areas and everybody lived like this. And they were all just in each other's filth and, oh.
So in the same
So
way, if you
sad.
lived in that, you would never imagine we would be like this.
Right.
Where we are now, we'll never
Exactly.
imagine what's coming. And
Exactly.
what we know little of is frightening.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guilty. Like, I know you like samurais. I know you like aliens, but I know you don't like the nerd shit I'm into. And
What
there's,
kind of nerd shit are you into? How do you know I don't like it?
do you like Legos?
No.
Yeah. So there's there's an AI.
I'm not interested in anything that doesn't do the job perfect every time.
Okay.
It's always going to leave these weird fucking...
But I'm sure you've seen it. There's so much AI of like you talking to Jordan Peterson or like someone else talking about like very specific nerd details of Bionicle Legos.
Yes.
Or D&D, like shit that you don't normally talk about.
I'm going to show you something.
And it's
dope
like
right
it's
now.
like hilarious. I'm like I know it's like my brain knows it's not real, but I'm like, wow, Joe's talking really like really like super into curious about Legos right now.
No, not that interested in Legos.
Yeah, I know you're not.
I think they're cool. I loved them when I was a kid. I want to send you this thing, Jamie. This is an artist who makes these things out of chocolate. It's fucking incredible. I mean, like one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Like, I can't believe this guy can do this. And how I want to know how long it takes it, because it's one of them TikTok style videos where you only see like clip after clip after clip, and it's like very condensed version of how he does this. But this guy is an artist who makes stuff out of chocolate, and he made a fucking raptor, like a Jurassic Park raptor, and it's big. Look at this. Check this out. Go big with that, so you can see this. This is fucking insane what this guy's doing. He's making molds.
I like his smile.
Oh, he's having a great time. Well, he knows it's dope. He knows he makes dope shit.
Oh my god.
I mean, this guy makes dope shit, dude. Look at this, man. This is the biggest fucking chocolate I've ever seen in my life. This is all chocolate. You could eat that thing. How could you eat it though? How could you? Or how could you not? How could you not? You're Captain Chaos. How could you not eat it? You would have to eat it, right? Look how beautiful this is, though. Like, look at the talons he's putting together. This guy's fucking amazing.
Wow.
What is his name? Amaury Guichon, AMAURYGUICHON. I don't know where he's from. I just found this yesterday.
Whoa, the fucking eye moves?
Dude, it rolls around inside the head. He's got it, like, loose in there. Look at that, man.
Wow.
That's chocolate.
But like
All his stuff's incredible, too. Where's he from? It says, yeah, I don't know if he's in America. I don't know where he is. He's got a lot of countries up on there, so he must perform in different places and put those things together. But that's like some of the most incredible shit I've ever seen. And that's total next level stuff, right? Like I don't know if other people are doing this because I'm ignorant to it, but I've never seen a chocolate fucking raptor like that.
well, like that's amazing. The sculpture you have right there.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
But could be 3D printed, right?
Oh, I don't know how he makes it, but it's an artist in Japan.
No, I'm guessing that he actually made that with his hands, but I'm saying we are like that chocolate guy.
Right,
that could be 3D printed.
Right, it could be.
So
in
I'm like-
another world, right?
Well,
Or
this
it could be done now in an easy way, but you wouldn't value it.
Well, maybe we wouldn't, but kids don't give a shit, right? Like,
Some people do.
like
It means a lot in some circles.
this could be an awkward conversation.
Uh-oh.
Like, Jamie's job is probably going to be irrelevant if it isn't already.
I told him already.
No,
I got 3 years or so.
But you would.
No,
I'm saying.
No. Half of this show is the fun of
That's
pull
what
that up, Jamie, and I'm like, what kind of bullshit ass link is this? Find me some shit on DuckDuckGo. Let's.
There could be a good AI that could be fucking.
So that-
knows
I'm
my
sure,
whole
but
history.
it's
I'll
not.
feed it some
Listen,
videos and
listen.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
No chance. No, because
Within-
everyone's gonna want to know that Jamie's here.
right, exactly. So even if that's what I'm saying,
Yes.
you still want the human contact,
Yes.
right? Like if the AI is here and it's like every single editing, bring that up, Jamie,
Yeah.
and maybe even you can trick them. There's a deep fake voice that's doing like, all right, Joe, or whatever. Like you would still, for you'd be like, I like Jamie as a person.
Yes.
Like I want him here. I like him.
Well, it's an intangible part of the vibe.
Right.
If you just decide that that's not a part of the vibe and Jamie's not here anymore, I would feel it. I would feel a loss.
Right.
I'm gonna give you an
Love you, Jamie.
There's a thing about things that people do, and this is like the concern about AI art. And I know a lot of people have concerns about AI art, and I get where they're coming from, particularly with taking jobs away from illustrators, and it's going to be a problem if it's not already a problem.
It is a problem.
There's a thing. I'm sure it's a problem. I don't even know why I'm hedging that, but there's a thing that people really love about. I love things that someone made. Like to me, that's fucking giant. That
Right.
means everything to me.
Right.
Like this thing. This is by this guy Shane Against the Machine. And this is
I love that
a
thing.
chimpanzee skull that's made from Zildjian symbols. I fucking love this thing.
Right.
This guy makes shit. Like you go to his Instagram page and he's
You could see the texture of the symbol.
You couldn't if you did that with a 3D printer. It wouldn't mean anything. It would still be dope. Like if someone gave me that and it was
Right.
3D printed, I'd still think it was dope.
Right.
But knowing that a guy made it, it's
Right.
way more dope.
And that's what we're moving towards is.
I don't think you and I are, and I think as long as we can express the
No, I'm
value.
saying we're moving towards.
Oh, yes.
You're going to have to make stuff by like.
Yes,
it's going to be less.
It'll mean more.
Yeah, it'll
it
mean-
means more. It means more. It's real.
This is this guy's version of like
Yes.
Metallica tour. Like you have to.
Exactly.
You could mass produce shit, but that's going to have less value to someone like me.
It's a giant thing in the world of pool cues. In the world of pool cues, there's computer-made pool cues.
Yeah.
Where they're made on this lathe and it doesn't ever fuck up, and it's really in those pool cues is just about design,
Right.
and just beautiful execution. But in the world of handmade pool cues, there's some motherfuckers that are like cutting.
Right.
There's this guy named, well, my buddy John Showman is one of the best examples. He makes pool cues where they are cutting these points into this wood, and they have all these layers of wood, and it's a big block, and they spin it on a lathe until it becomes the perfect diameter, and they make sure the wood has a good harmonic sound to it. They like dunk it on the concrete to get a sound. My friend Eric Crisp, he takes every shaft and he listens to the sound that it makes when it bounces off the cement.
So
he wants to know they have the right harmony and that the harmony of the woods go together.
So the artisanal pool cue guy
Yeah.
is like, how many of those are in the world?
There's
Like,
quite a few.
There is?
Yeah, I mean, not in compared to like how many lawyers there are.
Right.
I mean, there's dozens. There's dozens all over the world, and there's a lot in Japan too. There's this one company called Zen Cues out of Japan that's doing fucking phenomenal stuff, like super artistic shit on pool cues.
But the rate at which, you know, like, I started earlier with you today talking about like how I figured out the money game or the thing. Like the AI can figure that out in 2 seconds, right?
Right.
Like it could catfish the shit out of anyone. So in that same way, it will figure out how to make imperfect stuff to give it a handmade look. And
no.
I honestly think
you're gonna. So then the value will be in the documentation of it.
Yeah, so
like
you'll-
go to North Demon Cues. There's this guy in China.
Yeah.
That makes these fucking beautiful pool cues, and he documents a lot of the construction of it on these tiny little things
Right.
that he's inlaying in there with silver and copper, and he's setting it all. Look at this fucking gorgeous work, man. This
Wow.
guy's doing this. I mean, there's photos of his lab where he puts all this stuff together, but his cues are fucking gorgeous.
beautiful.
They're works of art, and they play really good too. It's like crazy combination because you can't just have that. It has to be balanced. It has to have a feel when you drive through the ball. And you can make amazing stuff with computers. You can make amazing stuff with machines. But you're not going to feel it in your hand and know that a man on the other side of the world constructed this. And he did it in his workshop. And he did it with machines like sanding things and sawing things and lining it up perfectly.
Right.
It's incredible.
So someone who's in the position of like, that's my passion or my hobby. I love making handmade pool cues, but that doesn't really pay the bills, so I'm going to go towards law school. Like, now that your job is taken away, it's going to push this. This is what one theory that could happen, or one path.
Well, let me just stop you right there, because
Right.
in the world of pool cues, those guys have like a 3-year waiting list.
That's what
Some
I'm
of them have a 10. Southwest Cues might have a 16-year waiting list.
But that's like with any specialty thing, right?
Yeah.
The guy who hand makes knives or
Yeah.
jackets or whatever, like they all, like the ones that are the best will always have a, but like if you're out there right now and you're like, fuck, I gotta, if this is moving towards cyborg god level,
Yeah.
and it's not evil and it's not trying to kill us, and it does make the world a better place where it's like 3D printing houses for everyone and figuring out how to grow its own food, and you don't actually need to make that much money because it's like providing for you, then you're gonna have to figure out how to like be a person and live with, and like, you know, have a Jamie or have friends and, you know, more human experiences instead of just living online all the time.
My legitimate concern is
Yeah.
we're going to be amongst the last of the people. That's my legitimate concern. My legitimate concern is the idea that we would never be here is so outside the realm of possibility that we don't even think about it.
Then we better
but I
party
think
fucking
if
hard.
you think about all the other planets that don't have any life, and the idea that this one life is going to prevail, why? Just because it's us and we're awesome? Like, I don't believe that.
So
And whether it's by nuclear
Right.
disaster, you know, whether it's war, nuclear war, whether it's some horrific natural disaster, whatever it is, it easily could happen. And the idea that it wouldn't, but this thing that we create, if we create this thing, and this thing figures out the possibilities of these things happening, and also figures out asteroids that are coming that we aren't aware of because we don't have the capability, but it does. So it figures out a better way to detect asteroids and then a better way to deflect them, and then can protect the Earth and make sure that at least that aspect of the natural disaster, you know, problem chart is going to be solved, right? Okay, now we know we have an iron sheet shield, like like Jerusalem has.
Right.
Like we have an iron shield over the Earth, and no asteroid's ever going to fuck us up. So now we got to deal with super volcanoes. Maybe AI can do that. Maybe AI can say, you know what? If we just drill in from under the ocean in this direction, we can relieve some of the pressure by having the lava go into the ocean, and it'll stop this idea of having a fucking caldera super volcano that wipes out everything on the continent. Because those happen all the time too.
Right.
Those happen every whatever, 1 million years or so.
So are you scared?
Not scared. I'm in acknowledgement of just the full scope of possibilities, but I'm also acutely aware that I have a desire to think that everything's going to be okay because I'm okay right now. And I think everybody has that feeling. I think that's a human feeling. And that's why you don't think about things like asteroid impacts.
But if we play out what you just said, if we buy in that this is it, like we're the last of this.
We might not be. We might not be.
But let's just say it is.
Yeah.
Then what should we be doing with our time?
Nothing. Just enjoy your life. There's
Definitely enjoy
not a
your
goddamn
life.
thing you're going to be able to do to stop the progression of
Party
this thing.
up in here.
It's like stopping the rain. You're not going to stop the rain.
Right.
Once it starts raining, you're not stopping it.
It'll
stop on its own.
It's the dudes playing their instruments as the Titanic is sinking. It's like if it's happening, you could panic and try to get to Mars or in the lifeboat or whatever, or you could just be like, it's here.
It's just one of many possibilities. There's other possibilities too. One of them might be that we embrace psychedelics and we change culture, and human beings start behaving in a way that's more consistent with what we would like to see from an advanced civilization.
I just had Rick Doblin on my.
I did too. I just had him on too. He's
awesome.
awesome.
This mic smells like Rick Doblin.
That guy.
He's
Man,
the best.
He's been in the trenches for decades. Hearing him say that he decided to get into psychedelic therapy when he was like 18, 19 years old. I'm like, how did you?
Right.
It wasn't even legal back then. But this guy's been on that grind forever.
So the only like I don't fucking know shit about NFTs, but like I made one and it's like buying a painting where I paint over like 20 times.
Right.
And I donated all of that to Maps, and like
that's awesome.
Like psychedelics saved my life. It's like connected me to like a part of myself I would never get to through Western therapy or whatever. So I've known Rick for a while. We talk here and there, and I said, hey, I have a show called The Cho Show. Do you want to come on? And he came in, and like because he's been in the trenches, because he's this close to getting it, he went into like kind of politician mode, and I'm like, bro, like you could do that on any other show. Like,
yeah.
What's the most intimate thing we can do? Like, I'm not trying to fuck you or anything like that.
Settle down.
and I said, a lot of people, like for me, the most intimate thing you can do with someone is like touch their face, like So we touched each other's faces for like 20 minutes, and then the rest.
Well, he's an MDMA guy. That's normal if you're.
We were
tripping on.
I didn't have to. He's like, let's do it. So he touched my face, and I closed my eyes, and I was like, this guy, and like, I had a. Like you could say it's bullshit. I had a deeper conversation doing that than if we actually exchanged words. So we touched our face for a long time, and then when he started talking to me, and look, I want to have fun. Like, show me how to have fun. Like, it's just life just grinds you down, and it's all about. People say this, the journey from your head to the heart is the longest journey you'll take in your life, and it's been true for me.
That's interesting. I like that.
Because everything is, like, people apply way too much logic, right? They're like, how come, what the fuck's that? Like the stats, it doesn't match up, it doesn't make it. I'm like, feeling. We're so far from feeling, so I was like, I have you on, Rick. I want to feel you. He touched my face, I touched his face, and then we just talked in gibberish for like an hour. Like, and like you could say we're silly, goofing off, which that's part of it. But it's like in the times where words have failed me, like I can never like fully, I always feel that. I can sometimes get closer when I paint or do something like where I express my art, but like talking has limited me in times. And so for me to talk to him in like Hutties or tongues or some weird shit that just came out of me and that guy's the master. And I just felt like so connected to him in that moment, and I was like, what else is there to say?
Yeah, no, that guy's so valuable.
He's the best.
His work is so valuable.
He's the man. Like,
and what I was saying earlier, I didn't mean that like somehow or other that's going to stop the inevitable. That if we embrace psychedelics, but I do think it'd be very beneficial if we did it in a way where people who understood how to do it were administrating it to more people. Not for everybody. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but it's for a lot of people.
Well, the
And
thing they
what
say,
I think is, even if we do that, we're still faced with this fucking real crisis of artificial intelligence. It's a real crisis, because
Yeah.
if it gets switched, if it goes to that thing, does whatever it wants, we have zero to do. We have nothing to say. We are now the inferior species. We are
Right.
100% at the mercy of our robot overlords.
right.
And that was, Marshall McLuhan had a fucking amazing quote from the 1960s. It said, "Human beings are the sex organs of the machine world." Isn't that amazing?
It might be true. It might be.
McLuhan wrote that in like the 60s. I don't think am I paraphrasing that? I don't think I am.
It sounds good.
I think that's exactly how he said it. But like, that is what we do, man. And if that's what we do, like, there's so many instances of that in nature where a thing becomes another thing. The caterpillar has no fucking idea what it's doing when it's making a cocoon. It's just doing it. It doesn't have the cognitive ability to understand that it's making a protective air. At least we don't think it does. It has the ability to make a protective casing in which it's going to morph and change into a completely different thing with fucking wings.
I mean, that's.
And then it's going to pop out of that thing and fly away like the most universally regarded as beautiful insect that we have.
So in the same way, like a weightlifting dude in the 50s would not recognize like a roided out, like modern super buff guy.
They would be baffled.
We're not going to recognize what humans are
But
gonna,
way more of a
yeah.
jump. Way more of
It'll
a jump.
be a way more of a jump.
It
like,
might be a jump outside of the biological.
hey, when you get your wings and I get my wings, we're going to fly.
We're going to have a good time.
We're going to fly, bro.
We're probably going to fly without going anywhere. That's what's going to be really weird. I think human beings are going to be able to do things that, if we stop and think about it right now, seems ridiculous. I think we're going to be able to make contact with other life forms. Here it goes. Man becomes, as it were, the sex organs of the machine world, as the bee of the plant world, enabling it to fecundate and evolve ever new forms. The machine world reciprocates man's love by expediting his wishes and desires, namely in providing him with wealth. That's from Understanding Media, 1964.
Jesus.
McLuhan was brilliant guy. But that quote, "Human beings are the machine world's sex organs," is fucking. It's such a nutty thing to think. But man, it's in nature. It's in so many different. There's so many different forms of life where one form of life takes over another form of life and uses it to birth a new thing, like aquatic worms that convince a grasshopper to jump into a pool and drown so that it can be born. You've seen those, right?
Yeah.
Like, that shit exists all throughout nature. Maybe the lure of your phone. 6 hours a day.
What you just described right now is actually how I view you. Right? Like,
What? Oh, no.
no, I mean, well, look, I also view myself that way, but you are not the same, like, people can see someone and see them physically, but like when I see you and I say you're beautiful, like I see your soul, which someone could be like, that's some hippy dippy shit, but I feel energies. Like, once you could use your words, like I'm not like,
Right.
like I'm not an intellect scholar or whatever, so you could destroy me like in a verbal thing or someone smarter, but like I'm like, what? Like, I'm always like, where are you coming from? What's your soul telling me, right? So you're not the same person that you were 10 years ago, 5 minutes ago, right? So I feel like, I don't want to call it a parasite, but like something, you're in touch with something that's created this newest form of Joe that I'm meeting today. That's not the same guy I met like 15 years ago.
It's just constant work.
Yeah.
Constant work and constant thinking.
Well-
and I spend a lot of time evaluating my thoughts.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time evaluating why I think about things and what I'm thinking, and whether or not I'm being influenced, or whether or not I'm being egotistical or confused, and like, why do I behave the way I behave? Like, what could I do better? And I'm always thinking about it.
And that's head stuff, right? And you're already thinking about it, but then to do psychedelics, would you agree, like, sent it even, like,
yeah, 100%.
right.
Changes everything.
So
Marijuana first changed it. And then I think there's a lot of people that go through life without any perturbance of normal consciousness that are missing out on the possibilities of looking at yourself in a way that you can't do without a psychedelic, or I've never been able to do. Maybe you can do it with yoga or some forms of meditation. I don't want to say you can't do it. But I will say I've never done it.
So
I've never experienced like the revelations that I've had about life through any other form other than maybe. I mean, there's love and childbirth, and there's some pretty profound moments that seem very psychedelic in life. Childbirth seems very psychedelic.
That's the most surreal thing ever.
When you see a baby being born into the world, and the love that you have is like you're on a drug.
Right.
It's so bizarre. It's so bizarrely psychedelic. But there's a bunch of those experiences that transcend us in the regular world. You know, for some people, it's a near-death experience. Some people, it's coming back from something where they realize, like, oh, my God, I almost lost everything, and now I have a newfound love and appreciation for the world. But I think psychedelics do that without the harm.
And even though you did, so you've done your own psychedelics. We've never done it together.
No.
Like, I've done it, but because you've done those things and I've done them, now we have a shared language when we meet where it's almost, to me, might not be for you, kind of telepathic. And it's like, I've almost died multiple times. I have children. I've had all those amazing, and you're right, those create a euphoric drug-like, and psychedelics surpasses that by, like, for me, like.
What's a different thing? It's a different thing because it's not in this material realm. It's this thing of whatever that dimension of thought and beings and consciousness is. I don't know what that is, but it doesn't exist here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can only take the information that you get from that and bring it back to here. I think that's where a lot of people lose some of it. Like, it's hard to take that. You take that experience and, like, how do you apply some of that to your life without, like, recognizing that the way you're living currently is not optimal?
Can I tell you what one of those things was for me very recently?
Do you believe I have to pee again?
Go pee.
I'm peeing so much. This is preposterous. But I'll pee one more time, and then we'll wrap this up.
Okay. This is something when I watch it on YouTube or on Spotify, I don't see, but like that painting of you, like I always thought that line coming, I thought it was like you had a rat tail, like Anakin Skywalker or something, and it's a broken
the
wire
cords.
Yeah. So let me tell you something. So, going back to aliens and God and the spirit world being like funnier than any comedian I've ever met. Like
that's hilarious.
So what you're just telling me. So
I want to tell people though before you.
Yeah.
You did stand up and it was very funny. You did stand up. You only did it once, and you did it like it was at UCLA, right?
Yeah.
And I watched it. I watched the whole thing.
I did it 3 times. Yeah.
Okay. I thought at that time I think that was the first time you did it, right?
Yeah.
You were in the blue suit. Was it a blue
suit?
suit?
Red suit.
That's right. Dude, it was very funny.
Thank you.
It was good. I was like, this guy could be a comic.
Thank you.
And I remember I called you and I told you that.
Wow. Yeah, thank you so much.
You could do that. Like, you could do. You're one of those weird fucking dudes, like Howard Stern. When you could start painting, you could do. But I think most of us are like that.
I just go all in. I
know, but that you do. But that same reason, like, I know I'm kind of joking with you. Like, why do you think that you could win fucking Survivor? Because there's other people like you out there. But I know, I love the fact that you don't think there is.
Can you tell me if this is true? I heard that your new comedy club, which I can't wait to check out, like, you have to put your phone into that lock thing before you go in. Mm-hmm. Just hearing that, like, just like when I did, yeah, there was cell phones the first time I did it, but like, I just, to know that you could literally say anything.
You could say anything.
And it's not going to come, you know, and
come
maybe
do a show.
Dude, like it's.
We'll put you in the little room. You'll love the little room. The little room is the shit. It's the fucking most honest room in the world. 120 seats. It's fucking incredible. It's like you're in there, you're like, wow.
Thinking about doing stand-up is probably the same reason why I still work out at like the worst 24-hour fitness.
Listen to what I'm trying to do to you. I'm trying to get you to move to Austin, do jiu-jitsu, and do stand-up. What am I trying to do to him?
But to go back before P break, the thing I wanted to say.
Aliens.
Okay, so my life or my experience or my journey with psychedelics is 35 was the first time I ever did anything. Like, I'd never done drugs. Maybe I smoked weed once with BJ Penn, like, before something, but I did it once. He's like, "You're not going to smoke with the champ, bro." And I'm like,
you got to smoke with BJ.
Oh, man.
That's like smoking with Snoop Dogg.
I took one hit of how powerful that shit was, and I couldn't move. So that was it.
When did you meet BJ?
I met BJ through Pat from Ruka 20 years ago, maybe? Like...
BJ, so you met BJ when BJ was in his prime.
Oh yeah.
BJ Penn in his prime to this day, I think there was a couple of years of BJ Penn that I would put up against. I would like to see him against anybody at 155 pounds
The Prodigy.
that's ever lived.
The Prodigy.
He
bro.
just people they only look at like bad performances, and I said this to BJ when he was on the podcast. If you just look at the elite ones, he was so good. He was so good, and when he was really fit, like when
Right.
he was doing his strength and conditioning with the Marinoviches, like during the
Right.
Sean Shirk fight and the Diego Sanchez fight, bro,
Right.
BJ was a motherfucker.
But I know you didn't like how I said Eddie Murphy should quit when he whatever. When I look at my friend like BJ Penn or someone like Conor McGregor or Anderson Silva, people that just killed it, right? They took it, elevated it from like
Right, but why
those-
quit? Why quit? It's the most fun thing ever. This is what you don't understand. Like, that's the most fun thing to do. It's the most fun.
But losing is fun.
It's not always losing.
But like at the end when
They keep thinking they're going to win.
like me, I guess.
Like Anderson Silva beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in a boxing match when he was like 46 years old.
But like those last few that he got his ass rocked, it changes my image
Yeah.
of like
Well, Anderson broke his leg.
whatever. If he's having a great time, fuck it.
Do you know the story?
No, I know. He's like, I'm a
But when
huge,
he broke that, when his
spider.
leg was broke, he was never the same again.
Right.
He was just not the same guy.
Right.
And Weidman's KO of him also put a giant dent in him. I mean, that was a big KO. Weidman caught him with that left hook and just fucking clocked him. And so going from that, and he's at advanced age, and he's
Right.
older in his later 30s. Like I don't think he got to the UFC till he was 34.
Right.
Which for an elite combat sports athlete is like, that's like the very cusp, the top. Like I think Alex Pereira came at the same sort of age bracket, like 34, 30. I think he's 35 now.
I guess it comes down to value system of what, like if you're still having a great time, but I'm talking about not just fighters, but anyone who's operating at a high wire act level, whether that's comedy, music, fighting, it's like no one's the GOAT forever, right? You're gonna fucking like
Yeah, but it's not even about that. Just do your best.
no,
Do your best, and it's fun to do that.
do your best, but if at some point like people stop laughing, you're starting
Get
to
better.
lose.
Get better. Figure out what the fuck you
Wow.
lost.
Wow.
Stop being a bitch. What are you gonna quit? To go take naps? Let's go.
It's not.
Let's go, David Cho. Let's
First
go.
of all, I take a lot of naps, and it's not quit. It's pivot. It's adapt. Right? It's like you're gonna stand here as AI comes at you, and you're like, no, I'm still the best. No,
now
you
we're talking about some insurmountable obstacle. We're
But-
not talking about someone's career that they've already flourished in. We're talking about an insurmountable obstacle. If you're talking about AI, you're talking about a life form.
Right.
And you're talking about probably the new dominant life form on Earth. And that's probably how life gets designed in the cosmos. It probably recognized at a certain point in time the biological limitations of evolution in regards to these multi-celled organisms.
Right.
But if evolution can convince these multi-celled organisms to create something synthetic
Right.
that's not dependent on blood or bone and maybe can live off solar energy or live off water, who knows? But if it can do that, if it can figure out that, then the game's over.
Well, look.
And it's
Besides
probably what happens everywhere.
the very, very powerful one puff of BJ's weed that I smoked, my drug. So I'm 46 now. So the last 11 years, I've done mushrooms 8 times. I did ayahuasca 3 times, all in 1 week. That was the first time. And then very recently, once again, the comedian is back. God, alien, whatever you want to call him. And I was summoned by the guardians of the plant, Ayaboga from Gabon in Africa. I'd never done it. I was like, the last time I did ayahuasca, which was 35, the drug told me, the medicine told me, you're done. We've given you enough blueprint, enough instructions for you to do for the rest of your life. You don't need to abuse us because you like to abuse things. And so I stayed off that. And then my friend called me. He's like, these guys that just are psychics that like, you know, go around the world like administering these iboga ceremonies. Like it's the entire plant grinded up, and I was not ready. So I'm in a mental hospital because I just finished filming Beef. I'm trying to like go back to, like you said, I was very affected by emotions. I'm trying to get back to me, Dave, like peaceful, loving Dave, and this guy's calling me from Mexico City saying I've been summoned by the guardians of the plant. Sounds like a movie, and I did the most powerful I mean, I was high for 4 days where I would go to, like, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat, like, and, you know, not recommended for, it was way past what ayahuasca was. And all humans have operating system. If we're like fleshy computers, right? We're
Yeah.
born and then you're taught what you're taught, and then you kind of, that's
Yeah.
who I am, and that's kind of stuck who you are for the rest of your life. And this thing just started making so many jokes at me. Like, it's like, you have a living trust, you have a will, like all the things that like normal wealthy people do or whatever. It was just laughing at me. He's like, you have storage units full of what? And so I just, in that psychedelic state, in that spiritual state, I was like, I have so many. I'm a hoarder because of my mom. I collect a lot of shit. I have comics. I have like rare painting. I have a lot of shit where I'm never going to sell it. And like the people, like when I die, like this is anyone who has a lot of shit, they're probably not going to know. Like I have a lot of stuff that's worth a lot to me because of the sentimental value, and then things that are just actually worth a lot of money. And the thing was like, why don't you just give it away to the people who want it while you're alive? And I was like, oh, fuck. And kind of like teasing me. And this is like 7 months ago. So I've given away like 90% of my personal possessions.
Wow.
Like, and like there's some kid right now wearing, like, I don't know why I still have my prom suit that I lost my virginity in like 1992. Like,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. So he has that. But in my mind, my ego goes, when I die and there's a Dave Cho museum, maybe there'll be like a thing of like all my crazy clothes I wore. And I'm like, I'm going to give this to someone.
Can you
Like,
imagine someone going to a museum of your life?
well, like Hard Rock Cafe, right? There's Prince's guitar.
Right, okay,
and
but
like,
that's like everybody. That's
Right.
like every band, you know?
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury's mustache comb,
right.
you know, but imagine your own. Like, oh.
And so like I had like a very transformative, I'm not going to do a good job if I'm trying to explain to you what happened, but I know that most people will never do like that level psychedelic. But I know like a lot of shamans, they don't even do ayahuasca or whatever because they're so in touch with the nature and stuff. So I'm going to save a lot of people money right now. In all my fucked upness, in all the rehabs, this is a common thing at like a super expensive rehab is, there's a thing called TRE, trauma release exercise. And I did this in Arizona with this guy, Taruno. And from what he tells me, humans and domesticated dogs are the only animals on the planet that after they experience any kind of trauma, carry it in their body for the rest of their lives. Whoa. So you have a cheetah chasing like a gazelle and like getting this close, like scratching its butt, like if that was a human, you're like, bro, I almost got killed by a you know?
Yeah.
But then you see the gazelle like a minute later go sip some water in a lake and the butt's doing a little, like it's shaking that insanity out. Like, oh, and then it's like it never happened again. But if we're, whatever, this is what's taught to me, and to me, in my situation, it was true. If you've had like any kind of trauma, you just carry that. It creates stress, anxiety, addiction, all these things. And so a very common thing, and I'm giving this secret away, is you go to like an expensive rehab and they give you a tennis racket or a baseball bat and then you hit a pillow or a dummy and you get that out. You do this TRE, trauma release exercise, and you're like, you know, if you're a fighter or a boxer, you get to get it out in other ways. But I would say most people have never been in a fist fight or like bashed someone's head with a baseball bat or, you know. So to just get the emotion, the feeling of hitting a dummy, I'm like, and these places are expensive. So me as an artist, I go, why not make a mannequin that looks exactly like my abuser? Or I take it one step further. I'm like, can I just hit a person like that's wearing pads? And they're like, Dave, this is like a business. Like there's lawsuits and liabilities. And I go, oh, well, you could do that or you can't do that because you're a professional, but I'm an artist, so I have artistic license. So a few years ago, this is before you left LA, you know, this was the worst business decision for me because it cost millions of dollars. And this is what a normal art show is now like, right? Like a line waiting, Banksy, whoever, Damien Hirst, and then everyone comes in, takes a selfie. They don't give a shit about the art, and then they just post like, I was there, right?
Right.
And so that same side to me
Does that irritate you?
Well, there's a part of me that's like, well, I want to get more likes and more whatever. But so in a way, it ended up being the best business decision I've ever made, because I had a show in an office building where I rented out this entire office building, and each room I'm trying to basically steal everything that I learned in all these rehabs and recontextualize it in like in an artistic way. Like most people have never screamed their lungs out, right? And there's movies where you go scream at the ocean. I had one where you walk in a room. This is just like, I'll give you like 2 of them. You walk in a room and there's a punk band where the lead singer just OD'd as soon as you walk in. And then they grab you and they go, you need to finish the song. And the song is like written out on the wall. I spray painted the lyrics. It's like, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the motherfucking best. And they make you keep screaming it. And then you get to be the lead singer of this. And that's just one room, right? And then you go in another room and it's covered with sculptures, like all these found object sculptures I made. But I'm doing the fucking thing that I said. I'm the magician giving away this. There's a guy in there, and he knows everything about you, or not everything, but you know, you fill out an application, so he knows like what's bothering you, what causes you the most stress, and he goes up to you and he says, "Hey Joe, I know you're having some problems right now at home, or you know whatever your issue is." He goes, "I invite you to take that out on me," and you're like, "What?" And you give you a huge bat. And you just beat the shit out of this guy. And the harder you beat him, he starts laughing and says, give me all of it. And, you know, he's fully protected with police armor, right? Okay. But then I made it artistic, you know. So you literally get to beat the shit out of a human. And then I was like...
Do you have to use the bat?
I mean, the people lost their mind. They started punching, kicking.
You can do that?
No rules, dude. I'm not a fucking... Like, I'm not a legit business. And then we took it on the road. I was like, hey, go to the park across the street. So the guy in the living sculpture goes across the street, and I had a guy with a bat, and I'm like, anyone who has some shit they want to get off their chest, like a lady's hitting this guy with the bat going,
what is this? I need to
give
know
me
what
my
this...
child support. Give me my fucking child support.
Oh, no.
Like,
what does this suit look like?
It's all the police stuff that it could take the impact, and then I did like a sculpture on top of it. So parts of the sculpture are like breaking off, but underneath he's protected. Right?
Jesus Christ! But from a bat?
Yeah.
Was the person hitting him in the head?
He had it fully neck, fully this, and we told them don't hit the like what we learned the hard way. Like he got one right here.
That's what I was asking.
But like,
because your head's gonna get rattled no matter what, just from the impact.
But the you know, and this is 4 years ago I did this, and I'm like the show, like I just explain 2 things that happened at the show, and there was like hundreds of rooms. So this thing cost me millions of dollars, and it was so impactful for me. Forget like, you know, like the difference between like, oh, I have 1 million people that went through my show and took a selfie to like, I got to connect with people. I got to share. And so, look, I mean, you told me this on the last time I saw you, which is like, Dave, you should start a Patreon or do some shit. And I was like, nah, I'm like, what I've learned about myself, about accountability is in the last 10 years, I've given my art away for free, and people don't appreciate free. There has to be some skin in the game, right?
Yeah, I think there's
like when I give
to
away
that.
like $1,000 prints for free, they go immediately like, it must not be good, right? But the second I charge money, they're like, oh, so like you tell me where I should go with this, because I just started a YouTube channel like very recently, because I'm like,
what are you doing on it?
I'm doing like wacky shit, dude. I'm just like talking to my inner child. I'm just like
on YouTube.
Yeah,
but you know your inner child's not on YouTube.
I know. It's like I'm doing like I'll do like a guided meditation on like.
Oh, that's cool.
And then I'm like, but that didn't speak to me. I want to do a guided meditation as Wolverine, as Batman, and then I'll put that shit up on. So
just whatever you feel like doing.
Just whatever I feel like. And then because through just all the experiments I've done, like that experience, the Cho Show in the building was free. I made my TV show. I have, if you go to the Cho Show now, I have a paid thing now of people. It's like, I don't even know if I really want to do it, but I want some accountability from people, right? Like, when things are free, everything's like, whatever. But when you have some skin in the game, at least that's how I operate.
That's always been the case with comedy clubs. Like whenever they give away the tickets for free, it's always a disaster. It's never good. Like you want people to be there because it's worth something to them.
Right.
It's an exchange.
So this is the first thing was the Cho Show, where they're like, it wasn't. It was like I could only get like 100 people through a day because it's such a intense experience for each person, and that was fulfilling for me. But if I'm trying to meet people where they're at in the third space, and that's online, it's like how can I teach people everything that I've learned? Because it's such a weird thing. It's such a weird feeling for me to go to a place that costs $100,000 a month, and I'm like, what did I really learn there? They just taught me how to feel again. They redid my operating system, and I'm like, this, and then like with my kids now and any kid now, you go to school to learn 2 + 2 or all the shit that the AI is gonna do anyways, and they don't teach you like how to like get in touch with your emotions or like express yourself in like all those like very simple things. So we kind of grow up robots, like these like unfeeling robots, like college, get married, have a kid.
We grow up in a way that facilitates us getting a good job.
So like my life right now, like everything I just told you about is just it's dad life. I'm chilling. Like I spend a lot of time with my kids. I'm chilling. But now I like had a taste of acting. I'm like, I have like the YouTube thing. So I want to make sure
you acted, and you wound up in a fucking mental institution.
I checked myself in. I checked myself in.
You wound up in a mental institution.
Yeah.
I didn't say someone dragged you there.
Right.
But you would want to go back to doing that.
If it was
that seems to me
Batman, Wolverine, White Chicks 2, Heat 2. Well, actually, this show's not even out yet, or it might be out but like people are already hitting me up. They're like, "You're a scene stealer." They're saying this shit, and so I got a part in the new Batman as the Joker, and I'm calling myself the Choker because I'm the Choster, and the audition person is really, really fucking rough, and they keep having me come back because it's my fucking daughter, dude. I'm like sitting there going, all day I play Batman, all day I play Wolverine, all day I do this shit, and it's fun. I don't know if I'd have fun like on a set, like, you know, cut, chop his head off again, cut,
do it work. The fun thing is seeing the product, right? That's what's fun about it.
I think I already got your answer. You're like, fuck acting, so I think I think I'm done.
I get it for some people. It's just like, look, like Jamie likes golf. I've never played golf. You know what I'm saying? It's like that kind of thing. There's a lot of great things out there. You just can't do more than you're already doing if you're full. And I'm full of stuff to do. I don't have any more stuff to do. I have no room for other stuff. I'm not interested. I like watching other stuff. Doesn't mean I don't like it. Just I'm not doing it. I don't have the time.
I guess I'm not. I guess I'm pretty full. Like my kids and like that life is. But there's still part of me that feels. I learned some shit.
Yeah.
And I feel like I want to maybe share those things. Like I would love to never podcast again. I love talking to you, but like there's a part of me that feels even hoarderish when I learn something that can help someone and I keep it to myself. Like I've learned a lot of shit. I mean, when a kid asked me today, like how do I make it in the art business? I'm like, that I don't know, because anything I made it as an illustrator, as a graffiti art, like none of that stuff's relevant anymore. But the stuff that has to do with fun, feeling again, like, I mean, dude, sorry if I told this story again, but there's an art barn at most rehabs because most of these guys are like strung up, they like are CEOs, whatever. So the one that I went to was like $100,000 a month. So there's a lot of multimillionaires, billionaires there, and there's an art barn, and I'm like, fuck yeah, that's where I'm gonna escape, and like, you know, and they're like, not for you. I'm like, what? I can't go in there? And they're like, no, that's where you like, you know, that's how you get high. So you're gonna go do something else. And I'm like, fuck. But I would always sneak in and try to like whatever. So there's a dude in there, and I'm not gonna say who he is, but he's like probably one of the most powerful people on the planet. He could buy like 1,000 or 1 billion of these rehabs and like just and so the assignment is to like draw like your favorite like food, like you know, something from your childhood using these acrylic paints. But on the next level is the glitter paints, right? And I see this guy holding his hand, and I go by the art barn. I'm like looking in the window, like jealous. I want to be in there. And I go, one of the most richest, powerful men in the planet is asking permission right now if he can use the glitter paint. And I'm like, and I go, that's it. Because my kids don't ask for permission, right? My kid will go into my closet and put on every single piece of clothes and come back. And I'm like, I'm going to do that. When's the last time I did that? 8, 7 years old? And I go and I put on like all my underwear, like, and I just, we have, and then I roll down the stairs and I go, permission granted. Like, people really don't, they forgot how to have fun. They forgot how to like be goofy.
But
they
if you're like some CEO guy, maybe he wants that. He wants to ask permission for things. Seem like the same way some of those guys want to get kicked in the balls by a dominatrix.
Right.
Like, some of those guys, they, like, it's like you were saying, you got so much pussy, you almost wanted to suck a dick. Like, some of those guys have so much power, they want someone to yell at them and humiliate them. They've become tyrants. They've become kings.
Mm-hmm.
They've become a master of their domain, and it feels imbalanced to them, probably. And that's probably why they seek out getting humiliated.
But you walk this, so like, you know Elon Musk. I mean, you walk, like, I feel like we're similar in that way. Like, I can go work out at the worst 24-hour fitness and then also be in rooms with those people. The rich and the poor are not that different mentally, I find.
Your mentality changes with the lack of fear of not having any money.
Yeah.
You know, and some people it doesn't. Some people, they always think about how they used to be poor, and they can never get over the anxiety of the possibility of going back to being poor, so they just go on like a mad dash to having a fucking heart attack. And,
right.
You know, and other people settle in.
That was me.
Like, you seem settled in now, though. And I think I'm pretty settled in, too.
I'm settled in. I think I have...
I got to wrap this up, my brother. It's,
yeah. No worries.
Almost 5 p.m.
So, acting done?
Yeah,
and
I'm
then,
not interested.
And then YouTube channel, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I want you to do whatever you want to do. And if that's what you want to do, yeah, definitely thumbs up. It'll be fun. I'm sure it'll be chaos.
And then podcast.
And also, like, it'll grow and evolve, too. Like, if you do a YouTube channel, you're a very analytical guy. You'll look at it and decide, oh, now I want to try this. Now I'll try that. And then you have this platform now, and you're developing the platform completely independently from other people's ideas. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
I just don't want to get devoured by work, right?
You don't have to.
So YouTube channel and then podcast, The Cho Show.
Stay the fuck away from acting.
And no more acting. Yep, there it is.
All right. Thank you, my brother. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And
we are the
Hadza.
Hadza.
Too.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
That's for you, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Fuck yeah, man.
Fuck yeah.
Now the real podcast is going to start.
Bye, buddy.